Hola, yuppie, everybody! Oh boy! Yes, today is time for more Beatrice! Okay, so fun story about just before I started streaming today. Is it Beatrice or Beat Rice? Beatrice! um, but as I was saying, funny thing that happened before I started today. I bought myself a slice of watermelon to eat for today's stream. I cut it, and then I came back. I started eating, and then I noticed the watermelon wasn't good anymore, and I got upset. I had to throw it out. I bought the watermelon to eat for this stream, and there it goes. It's gone bad within like a day. It's not fair, but I got to eat an ice cream before I started, even though the weather today is kind of shitty. And the other funny thing that happened before I started was very much related to Umineko. I watched the latest episode of Higurashi Sotsu, right? I won't go into spoilers for everybody who hasn't watched it yet or plans to watch it at some point. But I was eating my dinner, I was having pasta, and one character is trying to stick a fork into another character's head to eat their brains, and I'm like, dude, right now, I'm having my dinner! But thankfully nothing happened. But my spaghetti almost got ruined because of that scene. But for those who have watched Higurashi, we have finally reached the point in which Go left us off last year. And now they want me to wait until next week. I'm gonna die. So in that case, I'm gonna consume Umineko instead and see what will satiate my curiosity for next week's Sotsu episode. Without further ado, it's Sotsu time. Not Sotsu time. It's Umineko time. Okay, so for those who haven't been in the streams yet for about Umineko, Umineko is a murder mystery, more or less, with some rich people being terrible. And apparently there are witches too, and there's gold, and there's a lot of ketchup. Like, a lot of ketchup. And the last time I left Umineko, we had our first murder, which was a whooping body count of 6 people. All their faces apparently were smashed in with a shovel until they just became bolognese, you know? Until they became a good arroz de cabidela. Arroz de cabidela is a Portuguese dish. And also, Natsuki came in with a shotgun, and I'm scared. Also, Battler is still going around being like, Beatrice is not real. I don't care if you servants think Beatrice is real. And even Maria is dunking on him. And that was the last scene that I left off. Battler just dunking on the servants who believe in Beatrice and were not amused by him, and Maria laughing at him for his stupidity. And Natsuki coming in with a shotgun. So, without further ado, let's see what the rest of this episode has in store for us, shall we? Oh yeah, also Kinzo disappeared. We don't know if he's dead yet. Alright. After a meal, some people tend to head to the bathroom, while others prefer to relax for a bit. It seemed that several people had left the parlor, just like I did when I went to the kitchen to drink some water. And there she is, Natsuki with a shotgun. This Chad mom, this powerful mom of the century. In the end, now Natsuki reluctantly retracted her order that everyone remain packed into the parlor, on the condition that no one headed out on their own or strayed too far. I mean, obviously. In any case, if 11 people are shut up in the same room starting early in the morning, the air will start to stagnate. Also, while quite some time had passed, so everyone was starting to recover from the shock of that morning, and their sense of danger might have been weakening too. However, it was a certain fact that 6 people had been killed inside this mansion. So no one was completely negligent. So whenever they went out into the hallway for a breath of fresh air, trying to act tough, they would quickly get scared of standing there isolated and would eventually return to the parlor. I guess it's like the north wind and the sun. If you force someone to stay shut in, they'll resist, but if you tell them to do whatever they want, they'll come back obediently. People really do like not doing what they're told. Indeed. So everybody is like, don't tell me what to do. I'm going out even if there's a murderer who smashes people's faces in with a shovel. When the servants finished cleaning up from the meal, they returned obediently to the parlor, just as Natsuhi had told them to, and sat on a sofa near the entrance, patiently awaiting orders. Masala's like, I am ready, Madame Natsuhi. If you would please, allow me to have a shotgun as well. Maria, almost as though she had suddenly finished playing witches, had returned to the pure Maria I knew well, saying, woo, I am getting some Higurashi vibes here. I mean, obviously it's the same author, but what in the world happened back there? Oh, yes, this track again. I love it. School shit. I hadn't felt even an atom of the presence of this person called Beatrice, who was supposedly standing behind me, invisible. Ah. The text wasn't continuing, sorry. However, it felt like I'd glimpsed a little of that presence inside Maria. Huh. You know, I was thinking these past few weeks, since the last episode, if Maria is maybe possessed by Beatrice, or is Beatrice, in some way or another. Just like how Rika is said to be the heir of Oyashiro-sama, maybe it's something similar with Maria.
Maria-chan wa majo toka no hanashi ni naru to hito ga kawaru ne. Kino 海岸でバトラ君も見たでしょ。
サソリのキーホルダーの時か。いや、あんな機嫌を損ねるみたいな感じじゃなくてよ。まるでその二重人格みたいな感じで。
I don't know, like certain characters in Higurashi?
たまにそういうこともあるな。さっきマリアが魔法陣の話を始めた時みたいなやつ。たまにあるぜ。気持ち悪いけどな。
I love how when okay, so this magic circle thing, I love how Maria just came in like, alright, you fools, let me show you how it's done, you know this jack shit. Like a true queen moment. Apparently Jessica had spotted that Maria a few times. I just happened to catch it at a bad moment and was pretty freaked out seeing it for the first time.
あれってのは何なんだ？マリアは二重人格か何かなのか？それとも本当に霊感が強かったりとかして、そういうのに憑依されたりとかしちまうのかよ。
I would say it's possible.
そういうのじゃないと思うよ。バトラ君にも経験ない？小さい頃、自分以外の誰かになりたかったなんてこと。
Yes, I still want to be someone other than myself, George. I want to be a magical girl, but I still am not one. Instead, I have to slave away in capitalism without finding evil at moonlight. When humans are born, no one has any individuality. However, when they reach their growth period, their sense of self starts to be born. They want to be different than other people. But since everyone else in their class is learning the same thing at the same rate and being forced into the same lifestyle, of course they aren't going to find anything that makes them different from everyone else around them. Once they realize that, the first thing they do is to start breaking the rules in what's called their rebellious stage. It's not a phase, Dad! Since everyone else follows the rules, they want to show off their individuality by breaking them. Okay, but jokes aside, this is actually a pretty deep monologue. So even those who try to act tough, mocking everyone around them and calling them childish, can actually be viewed as cute kids searching for themselves if you look at it this way. Well, I'm lecturing about all of this while I'm so smart, but I actually got it secondhand from George Aniki. I myself was one of those embarrassing guys who thought it was cool to act like a little bastard. Well, that was when I was at the age where you tried to show off for the opposite sex. Okay.
成長期の
I
根
see
底
how
に
it
は
is.
子供から脱却したいというひよこが殻を破るのに似た衝動がある。子供と大人の違いは何かわかるかい？
Yes, the fact that we can drink alcohol
年齢
and many other
そ
things.
れとも体格？
違うよ。経験だよ。
Correct. That's true. That's also true.
大人
Experience.
が子供を見下すのは人生経験が少ないからだよ。
I mean, he's kind of
子
right.
供が何を言っても鼻で笑って
Even
しま
though
うのは
that's kind of messed up to be
世間
like,
知らずの
I'm
罪
gonna
と
look down
見
on
下して
you.
いるからだよ。
Yeah, I get that a lot.
そういうのわかるさ
It hurts. But George, it doesn't always have to be this
子
way.
供の頃って妙に人生ってもう悟りきったようなことを口にして年長者ぶりたくなるよな。大人は子供が何を言っても世の中甘くないとか社会に出ればわかるとか鼻で笑ってる。
It's also true.
まあ実際そうなんだけど子供的にはそういうのって見下されてるみたいでムカつくんだよな。
Yeah.
なるほどな。
Sad thing is, even when boomers are older than you and you're an adult, you can be like 30 and they're still like, oh, you still don't understand. I'm older than you.
知識や経験の有無か。確かに年齢だけ無駄に食ってても尊敬はされねえよな。
となるとつまり子供から脱却したいという衝動を持つ時期にかつ他者とは違うという個性を持ちたくなる。
Such as being an edgelord?
子供からの脱却がつまり知識や経験なのだとしたら。
なるほど。他人の持ち得ない知識を持つことが一つのアイデンティティになるわけか。
Okay, yeah.
小学校の頃なんかさ、クラスの誰も知らないことを知っていたり持っていたり身につけていたりするとヒーローになれたよな。バトラもそういう経験あるだろ？
I certainly did that.
あるある。
I still kinda do.
何か一芸に秀でたいと思うお年頃って確かにあるな。なるほど。それが子供からの脱却、つまり成長期ってわけか。
健全な意味での成長期はそうして没個性を脱却するために人が持たない知識やスキルを身につけることを促す。これは社会学的にも面白いことだよ。人が没個性を嫌うために人と違う技術を身につけようとする。これにより社会は幅広い技術を獲得して立脚する。神々の高度なプログラミングに驚かされるね。
まあ個性がネガティブに働くこともあるぜ。
Hmm.
クラスみんなが真剣に勉強してるから俺だけはサボって目立とうとかよ。
Okay, that last bit really was true about me. It's only recently that I've been able to thank the middle school teacher who slapped me after school. Oh boy, yikes.
でもまあ誰も飛べない飛び箱を飛んでやりたいとか成績のいい連中を周回遅れにさせてやるぜってマラソンで全力疾走とか。
Oh, so you were a
勉
delinquent.
強はダメだったから少なくとも運動では見返してやるぜって根性はあった。うん、なるほど。ちゃんと成長期してるな。
男子ってやっぱり肉体的な方面に関心が向くよな。でもよ、同じ時期に女子は精神的な面に向きやすいんだよ。
Uh-huh.
バトラのクラスの女子にも占いとか霊感とかそんなこと言ってる女子連中のグループがあったりしただろ？
あったあった。人の星座とか血液型とか聞いてきて、やっぱりクスクスとか笑われると大いにムカついたもんだ。どこのクラスに行っても女子は占いが好きだし、決まって霊感に強いだの弱いだの、感受性がどうこう、見えないものが見えちまうだの、そういう手合いが必ずいたもんだぜ。
You're getting still dunked on, Batra.
学校では教えないものだからね。男の子と違い内向的な世界に関心を持ちやすい女の子にとってそれはアイデンティティを確立しやすくてかつ興味深いジャンルなんだよ。
Does that include astrology? And
男子が成
in
長
my
期に
case,
入ると
anime?
急に悪ぶったりして大人に反抗を始めるのと全く同じに、女子も成長期に入るとそういうのに興味が出るようになるんだよ。私はそうでもなかったけどさ。
うん。つまりマリアがオカルトに関心を持つのは年頃の女の子としてはそう珍しくもないってことか。
Uh-huh. Even if we accept that, I wonder if it explains that creepy dual personality thing. Actually, I think I probably could accept that explanation more or less.
さっきも言った通り、大人になるというのは知識や経験を持つことを言う。だからそれを得るために子供たちはいろいろなことを学んで子供を脱却しなければならないんだけど、子供の世界に今も昔もはびこっているある便利な妄想があるんだよ。わかるかい？
I
漫
guess?
画やアニメに多いだろ。ほらあれだよ、前世の記憶が蘇ってとか、偉大なるなんとかの魂が乗り移ってとか。
Huh.
ああ、他にも遺伝子が覚醒したりとか、封印されていた能力やら記憶やらが戻ったりとか、いろいろあるな。どういうわけか、あの時期はそういうのがやたらと流行るもんさ。
You think?
どうしてだ？
Because of anime. Nah,
今
I'm
挙げたキーワ
kidding.
ードはすべて子供の自分に知識や経験を直ちに付加できる幻想だからだよ。
Probably because of illustration books and the like, right?
9歳の女の子も1000年を生きた魔女が私に憑依していると言い出せば1009歳のアイデンティティが得られるわけだからね。
ねえ。
まあつまり勉強するのは面倒くさい。でも人とは違うスキルを持って周りに威張りたい、ちやほやされたいっていう連中にとっては便利な妄想なんだよな。
So you could brag about something without having to work hard or study. I see. Isn't that a kid's greatest dream?
あとは子供からの脱却願望には必ず自分の理想像の自己投影が行われ、その願望の姿が別人格として形成されることが少なくない。バトラ君だって家と学校では多少キャラクターが違うということがあるんじゃないかな。
I'm not sure if I had that sort of personality like that.
多分家での自分の姿をクラスの友人たちに見せるのは恥ずかしいはずだよ。学校の自分は自分のなりたい姿の投影で、家の自分は本来の姿だから。
つまりキャラクターの使い分けというか、人格の多重化はごくごく当たり前だと言いたいわけか。
I think what George is more or less trying to say is you adapt your personality or more like the way you talk and the like depending on what group of people or person you are around, right? There are some people I am more buddy with. Okay, not really buddy. Like with my mom, I tend to use softer words. But with my best friend, it's like shit talking and swearing to the maximum. But at the same time, with other friends, I tone down my excitement and try not to be too rude and stuff like that. And talk about other things as well.
オカルトが好きな女子はそれを憑依と言ったり覚醒と言ったりするぜ。
There's also like instances where it was so extreme that I wondered if if something was wrong with me for having such different ways of talking with different people, but it's pretty normal actually.
正直ドン引きするくらいにキャラを変える子もいるよ。
Don't call me out like that, Jessica.
キレたとか言ってやたらめったら粗暴キャラに変身するやつが。あれ、本人はかっこいいと思ってるんだろうけど、見てて痛いよな。
She speaks the truth.
つまりおさらいするとだ、マリアくらいの年頃の女の子がさっきみたいな不気味な二重人格みたいなのを見せても、 それほど珍しいものじゃないと言いたいのか？
I think in Maria's case, it's a little bit unusual.
簡単にまとめるとそういうことだね。
But maybe it's somewhat more common with neurodivergent children?
アイデンティティは自己を形成するための大切なもの。それをバカにしたりすると、かえってその殻に閉じこもってしまうこともある。
That too is true.
だから、ほどほどに付き合ってあげるのが大切なんだよ。それを丸ごと受け入れてあげるのが、親の包容力というものなんだけどね。
Which probably Rosa has little of, at least in public. I'm not sure how more open she is at home. Maybe sometime I'll get to see that.
もう子供が中学くらいに上がってそうな貫禄さ。じゃあ、ローザおばさんもあのマリアの二重人格についてはよく知っていたのかな？
Probably.
知ってたぜ。ここだけの話。ローザおばさんはすっごく嫌がってた。
Oh no.
気持ち悪いし、クラスでますます孤立を深めるだけだって。だから、マリアがオカルトの話を始めたり、魔女みたいな声で笑い出したりすると、必ずビンタしてたぜ。
I don't know if I want to see this in the next
だから
chapters.
マリアもローザおばさんがいる時にはそういう話をしないようになったみたいだけど。
That would explain why maybe it's convenient for plot reasons that we only got to see Maria go that way after Rosa died. But who knows? Maybe that thing back there was just a little game from a girl facing her growing period. Just a girl trying to show that she was different and independent by holding interest in witches and the occult. And since she wanted to be different from herself, young as she was switching between her normal personality and the personality of her ideal, a witch. At first, I found that very disturbing, but after being lectured by George Aniki, it felt like this was a path everyone walked down at one time or another. I haven't told anyone, but when I was in kindergarten, I joined up with a little gang of kids trying to form an Earth Defense Force, saying we'd help protect peace on Earth. Okay, that's kind of cute. My first turns red when I remember now. During that we called battle practices, we would chant EDF, EDF. It's kind of like me, my brother, and some of his friends, we pretending to be Dragon Ball characters and the like. Just like usual, Maria was relaxing, immersed in the TV, oohing and laughing just like any girl her age. But on the inside, another personality, that of the ideal witch she respected and blindly accepted, was sleeping. But that wasn't anything extraordinary, it was perfectly natural for a girl of her age. Don't jump scare me, please. I've calmed down a little. The shock from my bizarre experience in the kitchen just now is fading away. If I hadn't talked to Aniki and Jessica, I might still be frightened by the idea that an invisible witch is standing right behind me. I think she still is! However, can I really accept that as an explanation for what happened back there? If it had just been Maria, I could have explained it as the fickle delusions of a growing girl. But Genji-san, Kanon-kun, and Kumasawa Ba-chan had also been there. None of them had denied what Maria said. They silently accepted that Beatrice exists. I was starting to feel a little uneasy. Aunt Eva's position was that no 19th person existed, that the crime was an inside job tied to the family quarrels. On the other hand, Aunt Nazi's position was that the culprit was hiding somewhere outside the mansion. So she rejected the possibility of an inside job and supported the idea that a 19th person existed. Maybe she thinks it was like the boat driver. And in the kitchen, Maria and the servants had also supported the idea of a 19th person. But according to them, this 19th person isn't human. They said it was an invisible witch carrying out some mysterious plan. Is there a 19th person or not? And is the culprit human or a witch? For some reason, I couldn't just laugh off any of those possibilities, not even the most ridiculous story about the witch. Q coming in, Beatrice kicking in down the door like, "What's up? I'm the 19th person!"
ジェシカ、ベアトリーチェの話ってのは、俺の認識では 森に子供たちが迷い込まないようにってんで作った大人の脅し話だってことになってんだが、この屋敷じゃ違うのか？
私もバトラと同じ意見だぜ。こんなのは子供に言うことを聞かせるために親が作った間抜けな階段だと思ってる。
It could have been. Maybe that's where the gold was hidden.
でもそうだと口にはできない空気が屋敷内にあることは否めないな。
おじい様がベアトリーチェは存在すると公言されているからね。使用人たちは立場上それを疑えないし、
Probably, yeah.
クラウスおじさんたちもおじい様と喧嘩がしたいわけもないから表向きは口を揃えてる。だから多分このお屋敷ではベアトリーチェの存在を疑うことはある種のタブーだと思うんだよ。
Oh, geez. Then Kinzo is lucky he hasn't heard Beatrice deny. Hasn't heard Battler deny Beatrice like that. Imagine he had disappeared, but manifests himself in the kitchen just to slap Battler upside the head. Like, how dare you deny Beatrice doesn't exist?
年に一度しか来ない。
You come into my house and slander the good name of Madame Beatrice.
そうでしょ。
Jessica took a deep breath in admiration. It looked like Aniki had guessed right.
ジョージ兄さんの言う通りだぜ。
No, God.
みんな腹の中じゃ信じてるわけじゃない。
So basically, okay, nobody actually believes in Beatrice, but Kinzo. No, I actually don't believe that. I believe maybe the main family is like, yeah, no, Beatrice doesn't exist, but I do fully believe that the servants do believe that. And Maria as well, of course.
ほら、神様の存在を認めるような、実際にはいないことを知ってても、それを口に出して否定したら野暮みたいな空気だな。
使用人たちの間ではどういうことになってんだ？やっぱり雇い主のじい様がいるって言ってんだから。
I don't think
それに
so.
口を合わせてるわけか？
I think they really believe.
さあ、詳しくはわからないけど、使用人たちの間では、ベアトリーチェの話はある種の怪談扱いになってるよ。ほら、昨日海岸でシャノンが話してくれたろ？夜見回りをしているとき。
Back then when Shannon was still alive. Ah!
そういう話。
God, all the snot and tears that came out of me last episode. She did say something like that, didn't she? Back then, I thought she was just being really nice to help improve Maria's mood, but it felt like she was serious when she said it. That's right, she definitely said it. She definitely said the same kind of that thing that Genji and the rest had all unanimously declared back in the kitchen.
他にも鬼火や輝く蝶々が舞っているのを見たという使用人も。
You mean like the ones you saw before you died?
もそれらしいものを以前夜の見回りの時に見たことがあると言ってました。あと最近ではお屋敷の中で深夜に不思議な足音をよく聞くと使用人の間で話題です。私たちは肖像画の中のベアトリーチェ様が姿を消してお屋敷の中を散歩しているんだろうと囁き合ってるんですよ。ずいぶん前ですが、私もそうかもしれない足音を夜の見回りの時に聞いたことがあります。
That's right, she definitely said that. Exactly the same thing that I had been told just now.
でも怯えることはないんですよ。ベアトリーチェ様は親方様とは異なるもう一人のお屋敷の主です。だから変に怯えたりしないで敬意を持っていれば決して悪いことはしないのだそうです。
Okay.
ただし敬意を持たないと恐ろしいんだったね。
はい。私が務めを始める直前に、ベアトリーチェ様のことを悪く言っていたそうです。
Oh, gee.
だから使用人たちはベアトリーチェ様のお怒りに触れたのだろうと噂し合ったそうです。
Beatrice coming in with her big dress, lifting it up, and then like to so she can lift her leg, and then she just kicked the person down the stairs. This is what you get for talking shit about me.
お怒りに触れて怪我をする。つまり使用人たちにとってベアとお稲荷さんにいたずらしたらお狐様のたたりがあるってくらいには信憑性があるわけだ。
Moral of the story: do not fuck with Beatrice. Of course, even though everyone accepts that curses and the like don't exist in the modern era, people are still afraid and still have a little respect for them. You often see it when in a residential area someone is building a house and they call a Shinto priest for a ceremony to honor the god of that plot of land. You might think that was just a big waste of time and money. But it is said that if the workers don't do that, a big accident will occur, so they never neglect to do it. You also hear about how, if an Inari shrine is carelessly removed during a town pre-planning, there'd be a curse by Kitsune-sama. I think I might have read somewhere that when the occupying forces were trying to expand an airport, they tried to remove Inari-san that was in the way. And the workers just kept getting struck down by mysterious fevers. Even in modern cities like Tokyo, it wasn't rare to see modern buildings packed all around an old Inari shrine, leaving the shrine itself untouched. And this wasn't limited to Japan. It's probably similar to how foreigners baptize babies. If I remember right, by Christian doctrine, if unbaptized souls have even the slightest amount of sin, they will still go to hell. Putting a water on a child's forehead doesn't do anything but make them cry. But if doing just that, parents can prevent their children from going to hell. They will happily go through with that ceremony. In short, even in the modern society of reason, we were still unable to throw away every trace of belief and fear. You could even say they were that we accept certain sorts of supernatural things, though in a passive way. Maybe the only difference on this island is that Beatrice is the object of that worship.
じゃあつまりこの島でとても人間技とは思えない何かが起こればそれはベアトリーチェの仕業だとなるわけ、シャノンちゃんも言ってた気がするな。ちゃんと閉めたはずの窓や扉や鍵がもう一度見回りに来たら開いていたとか、消したはずの明かりがついていたりつけたはずの明かりが消えていたりとかんで、確かジェシカは朝出かけようとしたらカバンが見つからないのもベアトリーチェの仕業だってふざけてたんだよな。
よく覚えてるな。普通なら妖精さんが隠したとでも言うところが、この島ではそんなくだらない話さ。
OG。
このお屋敷も築30年くらいになるそうだからね。それだけになれば多少の怪談やオカルトは生まれてくるものだよ。学校の七不思議なんかのようにね。
Seven mysteries at school。
そこでチェス盤をひっくり返すぜ。
Oh? Is it time?
つまりこの島では人間にはできないことはベアトリーチェの仕業と置き換えることができるルールがあるってわけだ。人間にはできないこと、人間は何人だ？18人だ。つまり犯人はこの島のルールにのっとってこの事件は魔女の仕業だとアピールしてることになる。
But is it really that simple?
つまりそれは19人目の仕業ですよと訴えたくて仕方がないわけだ。
Huh.
気に入らねえぜ。全然気に入らねえ。
気に入らないって何がだよ。
仮に不可視の19人目が存在してそいつが自分の存在をアピールしたいなら俺ならもっと完璧なタイミングでやるぜ。
In more perfect timing, like what?
ああ、だって事件は深夜から未明にかけて起こったのは深夜まで話し合いをしてたり夜勤をしてたりあるいは部屋に帰って寝ていたり、どいつもこいつもアリバイがあやふやで十分内部犯行が疑える段階だ。ジョージの兄貴も エヴァおばさんに聞かされてるんだろ。内部犯行の可能性が高いって話。
うん。まあね。
つまり、不可視の19人目が実在したなら、最初の事件は自分のアピールに失敗してるんだ。
Wait.
いや、そもそも時間帯がミステイクだ。
The wrong time of the
不
day.
可視の19人目をアピールするためには、死んだ6人以外の12人が全員白であることが確定している状況下で行われなければならない。
Okay.
疑わしい人間がゼロにならなきゃ自分の存在をアピールできないんだよ。
I mean, he's not wrong.
全員のアリバイが一番あやふやになる深夜の時間帯は19人目にとって自分が一番あやふやになる時間帯でもあるにもかかわらず、その時間を選んで犯行に及んだ。
Maybe to cause further confusion, or exactly because there isn't a 19th
18人の
person.
誰かが疑われるのは明白。にもかかわらず、マリアに手紙を渡して魔女を名乗り、誰もが自分でないと否定している。
つまりベアトリーチェという19人目がいるように見せかけたい人間が18人の中にいると、こう言いたいのかよ。なんだかぶっ飛んだ発想だな。まだおふくろの屋敷の外に不審者が潜んでいるって話の方が信憑性があるってもんだぜ。まさかバトラーはこの客間の中に犯人がいると疑っているのかよ。
We've been thinking this since last time. Since last episode.
ああ、何者かが俺たちにベアトリーチェが存在すると。
The question is who?
昨べのあの手紙からもう事件は始まっていたんだ。証拠も根拠も何もねえけどな。チェス盤を逆さにした限りじゃ俺の見立てはこんなところだ。
飛びまくってるにも程があるぜ。
Every time they say let's spin the chessboard around, I just imagine them grabbing a chessboard and actually spinning it on the table like brrrr.
妙な推理小説の読みすぎじゃねえのかよ。
でも、無視できない着眼点もあるね。19人目がいるかいないかは別にしても、その犯人は確実にこの島のルールにのっとって何かを仕掛けてきている。僕はね、今バトラ君の話を聞いていて、少しだけ気持ち悪いことを思い出してたんだよ。
気持ち悪いことって？
覚えてるかい？ベアトリーチェの手紙。ベアトリーチェは利子の回収を行うと言っていたね。そして利子とは後ろ宮家のすべてだと言った。
Jessica and I thought back on what Maria had read aloud the previous
言っ
night.
てたぜ。確かに言ってた。そして利子の回収をこれから行うが、黄金の謎を解いたらその権利を失うとも言ってたよな。
おじいさまは黄金を授かり、後ろ宮家を再興した。つまり黄金を資本に生み出したものすべてが利子だってベアトリーチェは言っている。つまり
冗談きついぜ兄貴。まさか後ろ宮家のすべて、つまりじいさまが生み出したものすべてってことは、じいさまから血を分けた一族のことを指すってのかよ。
あの手紙をそう読み解いたなら、この殺人はベアトリーチェが行った正当な利子の回収ということになる。となればこの事件はまだ続くよ。利子の回収はまだ途中なんだからね。
George turned around, looking over at the parlor. There were so many people who held the name Ushiromiya, and because Goda-san and Shannon-chan had been killed, we knew that not even the servants were safe, despite lacking the Ushiromiya name. They...
私たち
So... But they still work like directly under Kinzo, right? They have the wing and all. Except maybe Masao, I don't know.
全員を殺すつもりかよ。
Probably...
でもおかしいよ、ジョージ兄さん。ならどうして6人だけ？
Only 6 people? I think the rest is still
他
left.
に大勢殺せたはず。下手をすれば 寝込みを襲って全員を一晩で殺すことも可能だったはず。どうしてそれをしなかったの？
Because it's harder to kill people in that
特別
short
状
amount
況
of
だよ。
time.
黄金の謎を暴く者が現れたら李氏の権利は失われる。
Uh-huh.
そして手紙の最後にはこう結ばれていたはずだよ。おじい様の黄金の謎をみんなで解いてみろとね。
ジーザス、ようやく犯人のメッセージ
Yes,
が分かった
Pater Jesus.
つまり犯人は俺たちにじい様のあの碑文の謎を解いてみやがると言ってるわけだ。しかもぼやぼやしてればどんどん李氏の回収を進めちまうつもりだ。
I realize this all based on several guesses that are way out there. But not everything that happens in this world fits together in a perfect line. Most of the events we don't understand are only individual points. By fitting them into a straight line, we're beginning to understand. When the points at either end of the line are really close, the line itself is more logical and easier to understand. And when those points are really far away, the opposite is true. It's the distance between these points that make us say our guesses are way out there. However, if the distances we span are too narrow, that means our thinking will be narrow too. Is there a difference between making guesses and reasoning? Am I just using easily made guesses to try and force this crime into a pattern I can understand? No, that's not it. When you're lost in the dark and searching around with your hands, what you're doing is relying on your imagination and making guesses. Only imagination can find the points that need to be tied together. Reasoning is nothing more than the act of drawing lines between them. If you can't imagine, you can't reason. What I'm doing now might be way out there, but I'm sure it isn't a mistake either. Only the power of imagination can pull clues out from the darkness. Then I can use the power of reasoning to tie those clues together. It was a lot like process of searching out an enemy's weak spot and striking. It's okay if I'm way out there. Find a weak point first. Then we can think about how to strike. Right now is the time to find points we can tie together later. For the time being, I put aside whether a 19th person existed and announced our theory that the goal of the culprit might have been to make us solve the riddle of the epitaph. Uncle Hideyoshi seemed to be extremely interested, but now he said it was ridiculous and dismissed it.
確かにそう考えるとあの怪しい手紙も納得がいくっていうもんや。その動機はなかなかええ線をいったと思うで。マリアちゃんに手紙を渡したのが誰かはさておきな。
Which we still don't know. She's gonna say it was Beatrice. Oh no! What have you done? Ah! Sorry. Even though she was puffing up her cheeks in that cute way she'd been doing since yesterday, I couldn't think of it as cute. If I poked fun at her, it might suddenly transform into a creepy laugh.
隠し黄金など存在しません。ですが、その存在を盲信する犯人が
There is no hidden gold.
目当てで
Natsu, why are you lying?
それを私たちに解かせて
I mean, she probably is so that people don't kill each other.
しかし、ならばなぜ後ろ宮家の主要な人物ばかりを最初に殺したのです？
Probably because those members have the most rights to that gold.
謎を解かせるなら、金蔵さんに近しい人物を先に殺すことは得策ではないはずです。
Except the ones closest to Kinzo are still alive, you know? There's Genji.
そうね。それにその論法で行くんだったら最初にお父様を脅迫した方が早くない？
I don't think you can threaten Kinzo at all. It's
私たちに
impossible.
謎を解かせるよりも本人に答えを聞いた方が早いはずよ。
確かに
Chances
その通りや。
if you try to threaten Kinzo, the only thing you'll get is his back turned to you, him yelling at you about Beatrice. or you don't even get past the door.
ともお父さんが並大抵の
You just get the silent treatment.
金蔵さんをよく知る方なら、金蔵さんが並大抵の脅しには屈しないことをよく存じているでしょう。
Exactly.
これだけの財産を持つ後ろ宮家を背負われる方です。今日まで様々な攻撃や脅迫にさらされてきました。それら全てに打ち勝ってきたからこそ今日の繁栄があるのです。
それに関しては私も同感だぜ。うちのじい様が脅されて何かに従うなんてちょっと想像もつかないぜ。
ジェシカ、言葉遣いがはしたないです。
But let her.
はい。
Oh.
なら
Let her swear.
そうはどうだろう。いや、これもぶっ飛んでるか。
I couldn't hesitate. Out there, ideas are like bows and arrows. It might be hard to hit with, but it's a great weapon because you can hit enemies far away. They say most people who've died in battles were killed by arrow wounds. In a battle, you can't just shoot off one arrow. You shoot a whole bunch of arrows at once, pushing forward towards the enemy troops with a wall of them. So keep shooting over and over. Create a wall as you push forward towards the truth.
犯人が隠された黄金が狙いってんなら、俺たちに解かせるのは効率が悪い。謎を作った本人に答えを聞く方が手っ取り早いさ。
Yeah.
じゃあさ、これはつまり
Who made the gold?
じい様に当てたメッセージってことじゃないのか。
Mayhaps. In other words, these murders were a threat made against grandfather. If he didn't tell the culprit where the gold was, his family members would be killed off one by one. I don't think he cares, though. What if we weren't the only ones being forced to solve this riddle? What if grandfather was too? If you think about it that way, it explains why grandfather's mysterious disappearance. If the culprit has already attacked grandfather, then judging by the state of the 6 corpses were left in, he should have been left on display somewhere with that horrible makeup added. But despite that, we still haven't found him. So, does that mean grandfather has been kidnapped and is being held somewhere?
そんな、
I don't think so.
まさかそんな。
Or maybe?
面白い話じゃない。つまりお父様はどこかに監禁されていて黄金のありかを話さないと次々に殺人を繰り返すぞと脅されているわけ。
Might as well be.
その話のどこが面白いのか理解に苦しみます。
Oh, Nazi glared at her, but Aunt Eva just smiled calmly.
この時間になっても姿を現さない以上、おじい様が事件に巻き込まれているのはほぼ間違いないと思います。それを思えば、
If he's not the mastermind, that is.
することはできないんじゃないですか。
ジョージは黙ってなさい。そもそもお父様っていついなくなったのかしら。
I like how George, how Eva is like, George, don't interfere. I am trying to roast Nazi right now by myself.
最後にお父さんの姿を見たのは誰や？
多分私でしょう。今朝主人たちの姿が見えないと騒ぎになった時、お父様の書斎にいるかもしれないという話になり、私がお部屋にお伺いしてそこでご挨拶をしました。
Oh, are they gonna start suspecting her now?
そういえば書斎の鍵をずっと借りっぱなしですね。源氏、これは返しておきます。
Oh, Nazi pulled out the gold key and handed it to Genji. Looking at the key, Aunt Eva giggled. She's gonna accuse her.
源氏さん、どうせ警察はお父様の部屋も徹底的に捜査すると思うわ。何を隠していてもどうせ暴かれちゃう。だったらちょっと早く今この場で話してくれてもいいんじゃないかしら。
He's just gonna be like, there's nothing. There's just books about occults, a few pictures of Beatrice, and a bathroom.
何のお話でしょうか。
シンプルな話よ。お父様の書斎はその鍵がなければ外から入ることはできない密室よ。
Also, you want to check it out.
その定義の確認をしたいの。 お父様の部屋には入り口が一つある。あとは窓？他に出入り口は？
ありません。
There are none.
中に入るには入り口しかありません。
間違いなくね。秘密の隠し扉なんかがあったりはしないのね。
The secret door is Beatrice's
お父様
painting.
が不在である以上、後宮家の最高序列者は私よ。その後宮家の当主代行として聞いているの。それを理解した上で答えなさい。あの部屋には入り口以外に他に出入り口は？
He's not gonna answer to her, is
お
he?
父様の最高の側近だったあなたは知っているはずよ。
As far as closest aid, but if he's like, well, false, he thinks Natsu is his closest aid. My apologies, Madame Eva. Natsu looked a little offended at the part of the highest ranked family member, especially after the conversation she had with Kinzo. I would be too. But she kept her mouth closed for the first time being and waited for Genji's answer. I couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. Why was she going on and on about hidden doors?
カノン君も熊沢さんも知ってるなら教えてくれない？あるならあるって言ってくれた方がいいの。じゃないと今からある人がとても追い詰められることになるわよ。
Who?
隠し扉があると仮定されたら、私の話はすべて水の泡。
Aunt Eva didn't specify which person was about to be driven into a corner, so probably you. But following the flow of the conversation, I had to feel that she was referring to Aunt Natsu. Okay, so her, huh?
母さん、何の話？
ジョージは少し黙ってなさい。どうなの？源氏さん、カノン君、そして熊沢さん。
No, not one of them is going to answer to her.
隠し扉はあるの？ないの？源氏さんはお父様が書斎を改造した時、施工業者の監督をしていたはず。知らないとは言わせないわよ。
そのようなものは親方様の書斎にはありません。
間違いなく片翼の場所を許されたカノン君。
But Genji has the eagle as well. What are you on about?
間違いなく親方様の書斎に隠し扉などありません。
熊沢さんは？
いえ、私も聞いたことがありませんよ。
お父様と親交の深い南條先生は？
私もそんなものは聞いたことがありませんな。
He's like, please, ma'am, all I do there is play chess and tell him not to drink absinthe, but he won't stop.
結構。じゃあいい？話を始めるわよ。
Oh god, is it gonna be Nazi absolute roasting
と
hour?
ってもシンプルな話なの。
Everyone tilted their heads doubtfully, wondering what Aunt Eva was starting to talk about so proudly. Aunt Eva laughed triumphantly, as though she were about to reveal a secret only she knew.
お父様を最後に目撃したのは夏日姉さんよね。
You're gonna implicate her.
詳しい
I
時
know
間
it.
は忘れちゃったけど、今朝の9時前くらいのことだと思ったわ。姉さん、覚えてる？
Oh, gee. Oh, this music is new, I think.
私、
Look at the bongos
お
go.
父様の書斎からちょうど出てくるところに出くわしたわよね。
ええ、覚えています。それが何だというのですか？
Oh, wait, sorry. I heard this track when Mario was going off. Never mind.
そして次に姉さんがお父様の書斎を訪れたのは兄さんたちの遺体が見つかってからよね。それを報告しに書斎に上がり、そこで私と一緒に不在を確認したわ。
Oh no.
ところでね、
She's doing it. She is doing it.
その時お父様の書斎に入ろうとして気づいたことはなかったかしら？
気づいたこと？何のことですか？
ほら、ゴミを拾ったでしょ。畳んだレシートを。
確かにそんなゴミを拾った気がします。それが何か？
そのレシートは私が飛行場に着く前に寄った売店で飴玉を買った時にもらったものよ。
I wonder if it's the same candy that was given to Maria. Aunt Eva pulled a small bag of candy out of her handbag. That... Is it the same candy that George had given to Maria?
ああ、あの時に買った飴のレシート。でも母さん、そのレシートの話が何と関係あるの？
ジョージ、もうちょい黙って聞いとってや。
Even his dad was like, George, please shut up. Shush. Uncle Hideyoshi's expression was a little strict. Apparently he understood what Aunt Eva was getting at. Hideyoshi's like, please, George, do not disturb your mom's thunder.
本当にこれは気まぐれよ。
I am watching my wife be a badass right
何
now.
かを予見してたとか。ましてや夏日姉さんを罠にかけようとか、そんなのじゃ断じてないんだから。実はね、そのレシート。
Yes, go ahead,
姉さんが
please.
お父様と最後に会って出てきて、そこで私と会ったでしょ。その時、書斎の扉に私が挟み込んだものなのよ。
ってことはどういうことですか？
Oh, I hear thunder.
つまり夏日おばさんがそのレシー
The
ト
thunder is getting more intense.
誰もドアを開けていない。
ちょっと待ってよエヴァおばさん。レシート挟むなんてバレバレだって。小さまが外出した時に気づいて面白がってもう一回挟み直した可能性も。
You think? Jessica hurriedly argued back. She still didn't really know what this all meant, but she realized that whatever it was, it would raise suspicions about her own mother.
もちろんバレないようにレシートは小さく折りたたんだわ。でもね、レシートが落ちるところを仮に見たとしても、扉のどこの高さの部分に挟み込んであったかは正確にはわかんないんじゃない？私は夏日姉さんが鍵を取り出している間に確認したわ。レシートが挟み込まれた位置は寸分の1ミリの違いもなく私が挟んだ場所だった。
Wait. The receipt was still stuck.
なぜそんな子供じみたいたずらをされるのか。
Wait,
理解できません。
wait, now I'm lost. Help!
大方、私の部屋の扉にいたずらをしたのもあなたでしょう。
夏日さんの部屋の扉？
Oh, is it the blood reveal?
不愉快な話だったので話しませんでしたが、今朝目が覚めたら扉の外側にあのシャッターの落書きと同じと思われる赤い塗料でイカキムしったような気持ちの悪い跡で。
なんやその話。
Wait, what's this? Oh, what?
なんで今まで黙っとったんや。
I don't know.
申し訳ありません。あの後立て続けにいろいろと恐ろしいことが起こったため、今の今まで失明していました。
But you cleaned it up, right? So there's no evidence left.
知らないわよそんなの。私がしてるのは姉さんの部屋じゃなくてお父様の部屋の扉の話よ。姉さんがお父様がいるのを確認してから私と一緒に不在を確認するまでの間、扉を使わずどうやってお父様は外に出たのかしら。
そんなことは知りません。 私が知りたいくらいです。
Maybe through the bathroom.
夏日姉さんの他にお父さんの在室を確認したのは誰や？
ゆうべ金蔵さんとチェスをしたのが夕食の直前までご一緒だったはずです。
Huh.
それより後の時間は誰かおらんのか？
I'm trying to remember. Okay, yeah, and from what I remember, Nanjo was the last person who saw him at that night.
私です。
Oh, Genji did. Okay.
昨夜の晩餐のお世話をしております。
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
はい、僕とシャノンも一緒でした。
Right. I forgot that scene, I think, or was it even shown?
ここまでは間違いなくお父さんも部屋にいたやろな。だがな、夏日姉さん、不在だった書斎は窓も扉も全て閉め切られた状態だったそうやないか。なのに夏日さんは今朝お父さんに会って話をした言うと。
私には 皆さんが何を険悪になっているのかわかり
Yeah,
ません。
but then how would Nazi have disposed of the body if it was her?
どなたか説明してくださいますか。
This is one of those closed room mysteries. Oh boy, this is getting spicy.
おじい様に会ったというのは嘘だと言っているのかい。
What do you mean it was a lie? No!
嘘なんかつくもんかよ。母さんは潔白だぜ。なんで嘘なんかつくんだよ。
ジェシカ、言葉遣いを直しなさいといつも言っています。
But she's defending you. Let her be. All at once, the whole room was in an uproar. Aunt Eva and Aunt Nazi confronted each other across the parlor table, with George confronting Jessica. What the heck's going on? I don't know, Batter, it's your fault. You started with this. And then Eva just rolled off with what you started, so yeah.
でも今朝以降、お父様の姿を見たと称するのは夏日姉さんただ一人。そして私の挟んだレシートが物語る。さあ、この点と点はどうやれば結べるのかしら？
I don't know. Aunt Eva urged everyone to imagine it. Sure, that receipt could become an important point, but I didn't know which other points to tie it to or how. If we try searching for the answer, Aunt Eva probably once will find that Nazi lied and acted as though grandfather was in the room this morning. Has that fact been exposed by a whim of Aunt Eva's?
わけわかんねえぜ。なんで母さんが嘘をつかなきゃならないんだよ。その理由がねえじゃねえかよ。
その理由は私も知りたいわよ。でもね、ジェシカちゃん、お父様の材質を偽る価値が全くないとは限らないのよ。
No, don't sully such an important conversation she had.
小説でもたまに出てくるでしょ。生存時刻を偽ることによって自分のアリバイを偽証するトリックよ。
Bruh.
なんだそりゃ。そんなの聞いたことないぜ。
お父様はまだ見つからないけれど、普通に考えればもう殺されていると考えるのが自然でしょうね。となれば必ず近いうちに死体は見つかる。
I wonder.
その時死亡時刻をうまく偽ることができれば、夏日姉さんはアリバイを作ることができるのよ。わかる？みんな。
This morning, when Aunt Nazi confirmed that grandfather was there, she lied, and he was already dead at that time. And then she moved the body to some other location and tampered with it so that when we find it, we'll think he was just killed a second ago. That'd make it possible for her to create an alibi, even just by staying with the rest of us. Then she could say, I heard someone screaming, dash over there and become the first to find the body along with everyone else. Oh, now where have we seen this before? Is that what Aunt Eva's saying?
バカバカしい。推理小説など所詮は娯楽小説。そんなものばかり読んでいるから、そのような不謹慎な発想に至るのです。
Oh shit.
そうだぜ。死亡時刻を少しくらいごまかしたって、そんなの警察が検視すりゃ一発でバレるじゃねえかよ。古典の世界だったらともかく、現代日本でそんなトリック本気で通用すると思ってんのかよ。
In modern Japan?
そうかしら。今朝南條先生が亡くなった人たちの死体を見て、死亡時刻を曖昧に見積もられたわよ。
That's one thing.
検視結果は環境や個体差に非常に左右されやすい。
I mean, she's not wrong. This is very true. We have this all the
非
time.
常にアバウトなものなのよ。しかも困ったことに、警察の科学的な捜査は明日にならないとできない。そこまでの正確な死亡時刻を測ることなんて、ジェシカちゃんの言う現代日本でもそうそう簡単なことじゃないのよ。
That too is true.
南條先生。
検視は経験と勘の必要な非常に難しい作業です。誤審率も非常に高いと聞いております。
Yeah,
確かに
it does happen. You know, this is why we have this is why we have updated autopsy report, and it's why Edgeworth does it all the time. Okay, I think he only does it once,
ア
but
リバイの世界は数時間もあれば十分やで。古典のトリックとちゃう。十分に通用するトリックなんや。夏日姉さん、わしらあんたを疑いたいわけやないんやで。疑いとうないから潔白を示してほしいだけなんや。
probably just Hideyoshi. Eva's like, no, no, I want to suspect her. I want her to go to jail.
何の潔白を示せというのですか。
Oh my god, the shotgun is out. What is this innocence you want me to prove?
私は確かにお父様にお会いしました。そして心の中に片翼のわしを刻めとお言葉をいただいて、あのお言葉をも否定するというのですか。
She's gonna deny it.
それだけは断じて許せません。お父様がかけられた言葉までも否定することは断じて許せません。
Yeah, I understand. This is like very important for her.
あるいはお父様の遺体は出てこないのかしら。
The shotgun is called innocence.
普通失踪は死亡宣告
Each bullet just proves her innocence further, I guess.
余命残りわずかなお父様を7年も延命し、その財産を独占するにはなんともうまいやり方じゃない。
Oh! Holy shit! Oh my god, are we having a shootout?
それ以上は引き捨てがなりません。
Oh my god, we're gonna have a body.
私は後ろ宮夏希、この身に片翼のわしをまとう資格はなくとも胸の中にしかと刻まれています。当主跡継ぎのクラウスの妻としてその責務を代行する私に向かって何たる暴言。
何？
Everyone's like, oh, so you're pointing your gun at me. So you're approaching me. Ho ho. What is this shoujo face off? A fan and a shotgun.
その銃で私を撃つの？いいわよ。
Oh my god.
撃っちゃえば。
Plot twist, he shoots her.
どうせ言い逃れも思いつかなくて苦し紛れなんでしょ。やりなさいよ。暴力で真実をごまかしてごらんなさいよ。
Is she gonna do it? It wasn't like Onatsi had been actually holding that gun at the ready and threatening anyone. But as she was egged on by Onatsi, she didn't hold it at the ready. Unsurprisingly, once things got to this stage, Jessica and Genji-san tried to stop her. Or even Genji's like, please stop. The image of this the screenshot is absolutely beautiful. I love it. It's just, he's like, madam, if you would lower your shotgun. Ma'am, please. This music is wild. But Eva's gonna be like, proof. No shooty bang bang, I don't want to clean the carpet again. Probably not. He already had to leave the kitchen all in blood. Sorry, the dining room, not the kitchen. Why are you getting so worked up? Because Eva keeps stomping on Natsuhi on a conversation that means the world to her.
だから説明してほしいのよ。お父様がどうやって部屋からいなくなったのか。
There is a toilet. Maybe he flushed himself.
窓は内側からしっかり閉じられていた。扉も同じよ。今朝夏日姉さんが間違いなくお父様に会ったというなら、夏日姉さんには開かぬ扉の密室からいかにしてお父様が部屋からいなくなったかを説明してもらわなくちゃ。
How is she supposed to explain that?
姉さんが嘘つきってことにやっぱりな。
あなたという人はどこまで私を愚弄すれば。
And the gun that's still up. Imagine though, in the background, like in the screenshot, you have Kinzo walking down the hallway. Like, you see his sprite right there at that one frame. He's like, what's going on here? What's up? Did you find Beatrice yet? Like, he just passes by. Can you imagine the image?
反論したいならぜひしなさいな。そうね。今すぐこの場で釈明をしてみなさい。そうしたらあなたを疑ったことを謝ってあげてもいいわ。
You won't apologize, I know that. At least, not sincerely.
そんなこと説明もできませんし、不要です。
そう。なら私が説明してあげるわよ。
Oh god.
私の立場も姉さんの立場もいいとこ取りのとても仲良しな説明なんだから。
With a more friendly explanation, she's gonna be like, you kill them.
姉さんの言う今朝の時点でお父様が在出していたことを信じてあげるわよ。
Then?
でも次に扉が開かれた時にお父様はここまでは依存ないわよね。
あなたの言うことにこれ以上耳を傾ける気はありません。その軽薄な口を慎めなさい。
Oh my god.
私の推理はこうよ。扉から姉さんしか出入りしていないことは。
Oh, I see from this picture she's gonna be like, so you shoved Kinzo off from the room through the window, then closed it from the inside.
レシートもそれを立証している。にもかかわらず、お父様を部屋から出すパズルの答えは窓よ。窓から出したのよ。夏日姉さんはお父様を3階の書斎の窓から中庭に突き落としたのよ。
Holy shit, Eva's going feral as well. Holy shit, I think this is the angriest I've heard Natsuhi before.
奥様、来ないでください。
エヴァ様、どうかおやめくださいませ。
その後、中庭に転落して死んだ。
Eva's gonna end up shot. I'm calling it. Maybe not now, but later. Or the culprit is gonna use this moment to kill Eva or someone close to her, so that they can indicate Natsuhi further, right? So to divert suspicion from themselves.
多分その時に死亡時刻を偽る工作もしたんでしょうね。
クラウス兄さんたちの事件も、さらに昨べのビアトリーチェの事件もひっくるめて、ナスシさんが怪しい可能性が非常に高いっちゅうことだ。本当ならこんなことを言いたくはない。だがもうぶちまけてしまったからには仕方がない。頼むわ、夏日姉さん。どうか自分の無実を説明してくれんか。
Oh jeez.
侍とわしはあんたを疑わなきゃならんのや。
What's Bator doing in the meantime? Is he just sitting there with Maria and like looking at the TV? Or is he like eating snacks with her? Like, so Maria, what do you think?
なぜこの私が後ろ宮夏日がこのような恥ずかしめを。
Oh, is Bator coming in? Looks like we've gotten everyone's views on record now. Literally, Bator's theme starts playing. He's like, "All right, I got it all covered." Like he's been playing Ace Attorney in his brain by himself, like doing the big brain moments that you have before you solve a case in the later Duel games, like Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice, in which you have the character just thinking the red lightning path. And then just you take statements and combine them, and then you have a final statement. What if Bator just did that? He was like, I don't know how to sing the song. And then he solved the mystery in his own brain and was like, I know it.
全然ダメだぜ、エヴァおばさん。
ダメって何がだよ、バトラー。
Jessica looked up at me, hanging on to my every word. Aunt Emma's expression was confident as ever.
全然ダメって何が？ バトラ君、聞かせてよ。
She's about ready to slap him with that fan. Like,
一方からしか見られないから夏日おばさんしかありえないって思い込んじまうのさ。別に夏日おばさんを擁護するわけじゃねえが、そんなハったりのチェックメイトじゃ通用しねえってことさ。レシートを軸にした推理はまずまずだとは思う。筋は悪くない。だが俺の採点じゃせいぜい65点ってとこだ。
65 out of 100 or 65 out of more?
これが答案なら居残りで報酬ってとこだぜ。
Oh shit! What's the maximum grades you can get in Japan? Was it 100 or 200? I don't remember. But if it calls for detention, then I can imagine it's over 100. He's basically calling Eva stupid, Jesus.
あら、じゃあレシートで封印されている扉をどうやって破ってお父様を失踪させられるというの？私の説以外。
Ah, crap. I accidentally skipped the rest of the voice line, but alright.
そしてその説以外にじい様が失踪できる方法がないって言い切れるなら、最終目撃者である夏日おばさんが黒であると確かに言い切れるだろう。だが夏日おばさんが無実で濡れ衣である可能性が残っている以上、そうだと断言することはできね
え。
ならバトラ君は夏日姉さん以外の誰にお父様を失踪させられたというの？
For all we know, it was Kinzo himself.
姉さんしかありえないのよ。
And he's playing everyone.
私のレシートがそれを証明してしまったわ。一度目に書斎に訪れた夏日姉さん、そして二度目に私と訪れるまでの間、書斎は完全に密室で密室開封後には失踪している。これで夏日姉さんが犯人じゃないというなら、どんなトリックがあるっていうの？
え。だから65点なんだよ、エヴァおばさん。
Jesus.
じゃあここでチェス盤をひっくり返すぜ。
Takes a chessboard, spins it around like brrr, all the chess pieces are flying into the room, hits some people onto their heads like, oh, damn it, Battler! Do we have to do this every time?
外部からじい様を失踪させるかじゃない。どうやって内部からじい様が失踪するかって考えるんだ。扉にはレシートが挟まれ
So
ていたから
basically think outside the
使用
box.
されていない。
He really does speak like an Ace Attorney character in this case. It's amazing.
窓も出ることはできても外側からは施錠できず、しかもエヴァおばさんは書斎を訪れた時に窓の施錠を確認している。だから窓も使用されていない。その時点では確かに書斎は密室だった。これは認めるしかない。だがしかし書斎は永遠に密室だったわけじゃない。
That's true.
レシートの封印さえ解かれれば扉は使用可能になり脱出可能になる。つまり夏日おばさんがどうやってじい様を失踪させたかじゃない、どうやってじい様は書斎を脱出したのかって考えるんだよ。
Maybe he just hid in the bathroom, or he was up in the chandelier and nobody noticed.
じい様の書斎はただの書斎じゃねえんだよな。源氏さんの話じゃトイレからキッチン、ベッドルームまであるちょいとした家並みじゃねえか。
Exactly, like he probably hid inside and then left.
例えばベッドの下にでも潜って隠れたらエヴァおばさんもそこまで調べてきたわけじゃねえだろ。
I would have said nobody checked the toilet.
おばさんたちは失踪したと思い、この時レシートはもうない。つまりじい様は密室である間は部屋にエヴァおばさんたちをやり過ごした後に部屋から脱出することでこの密室を破ることができる。
何よそれ。どうしてお父様がそんな妙なことをして部屋を抜け出さなきゃならないの？
Maybe because he really doesn't want to see his family
口
members.
頭無形にも程があるわよ。
Or maybe he's a culprit, who knows?
ああ、口頭無形かもな。だがそれでも夏日おばさんが濡れ衣かもしれない可能性は示してる。
Maybe.
エヴァおばさんのレシートは完璧じゃねえ。チェスで言えばチェックくらいにはなったろ。だがチェックメイトじゃねえ。そして俺が最高に気に入らねえのは それを夏日おばさんに釈明しろと迫って、それができなきゃ黒だって断定しようとしたエヴァおばさんのその論法さ、それがまかり通るってんなら、ここでもう一回チェス盤をひっくり返させてもらおうじゃねえか。
Oh boy, this is a new CG. This is great.
エヴァおばさん、
I wish I could play copyrighted music because then I'd be playing like Ace Attorney music on top. Like, objection. Oops, sorry.
あんたと秀吉おじさんが昨日親父たち6人を殺害してからのこのことゲストハウスに帰ったんじゃないって夏日おばさんに釈明を強いたんだ。あんたにはもちろん自身の潔白を釈明できるんだろうな。じいさまの遺産が全部転がり込むエヴァおばさんよ。
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh fuck!
そうだぜ。エヴァおばさんだって十分怪しいじゃねえか。
Emma's probably like, damn it, Battery, you really have to do me like this?
母さんがじいさまの最終
We just went over this the last episode.
エヴァおばさんだって父さんたちの最終目撃者じゃないか。バトラの言う通りだぜ。自分たちは殺してないってことを証明してみせろよ。
Oh shit.
僕もお母さんの推理は少し勇み足だと思うな。レシートの件は確かに重要なヒントだと思う。でもそれはバトラ君の言う通り、夏日おばさんが何がしかの犯人であることを断定できるものじゃない。僕たちは等しく夏日おばさんだけが責められる道理はない。
誇り高きお父様が床に這いつくばってベッドの下に。
I mean, everything for Beatrice, right?
そんな誰事で説明がつくと思って。
He might have just been hidden in the bathroom like, nobody will check in here.
それならエヴァおばさんが先に説明しろよ。特によ、誰がどうやって殺して、そして自分が関わっていないという証拠を示してみろってんだ。
Oh. Jessica? Jessica? Don't die. Oh no. Oh shit. Oh no. Is she having an asthma attack?
お嬢様、お嬢様。
Coughed so hard she started floating towards the chandelier. Oh jeez. Jessica suddenly started coughing. I think she's having an asthma fit. Oh no. At first I thought she was just choking after yelling too loud, but before long I realized how painful it looked. Jessica kept coughing and choking down on her hands and knees.
ジェシカ、しっかり。なんじゃ先生。
ジェシカさん、吸入器を早く。
Yeah, she's having an asthma attack.
私が持ってきているのがあります。
Dr. Nanjo pulled a bronchodilator inhaler from his own bag, which was lying on the sofa, and handed it to Jessica. Come to think of it, 6 years ago, didn't Jessica sometimes break into violent coughing fits and have to use that? However, 6 years ago, I never saw Jessica look like she was in this much pain. Yeah, because asthma is horrible.
兄貴、ジェシカってこんなに喘息ひどかったっけ？
I think it's just as bad right now because it's a very stressful day for her.
ここ数年でだいぶ悪くなったんだよ。
Oh no.
大丈夫な時はいいんだけどね。突然発作が来ると咳が止まらなくなるんだよ。
Oh no. No! Poor girl.
お嬢様、お薬です。さあ。
The way Kanon also speaks so gently, it's really nice. Taking the inhaler from Kanon-kun, Jessica used it with a practiced hand. It looked like her throat would still itch for a while, but she had it under control. I think she can't yell for a while.
びっくりしたぜ。
大したことねえよ。
Oh man, she sounds very strained.
心配すんじゃねえぜ。
Beds of sweat covered Jessica's whole body, and she couldn't hide her rough breathing, but it looked like her sudden attack had calmed down for now. This disturbance had made the dangerous atmosphere up until now seem slightly unfocused. But that's fine. That kind of battle of mutual suspicion is completely unnecessary. When you think about it, finding alibis for each other and looking for the culprit is probably meaningless. After all, we're just powerless, ordinary people. And when the police come tomorrow, they'll definitely employ cutting-edge techniques and investigate the case thoroughly. Solving all of the riddles and arresting the culprit.
確かにバトラ君の言う通りかしら。
I get the feeling that in this coming night, someone will die. And it's either gonna be someone to make Natsuhi more suspicious, or maybe it will be Eva herself. No, okay, actually, if it's Eva herself, probably everybody will suspect Natsuhi. Let's see.
それを今議論し合うのは確かに不毛ね。明日警察に全てを任せれば済むだけの話よ。
You think? I think more people will die.
でもバトラ君だって知りたいんじゃないの？犯人を。大切な人を失った痛みを思い知らせてやるために1秒でも早く知りたいんじゃない？
それは否定しないです。これだけの上等を決めてくれやがった野郎を。たとえ一日であったとしてものさばらしたく。でもだからといって18人の中の誰かを疑いたくはない。
I don't think anybody wants to,
さっ
but
きはああ言ったが、俺はエヴァおばさんだって疑いたくない。俺にとってのエヴァおばさんは茶目っ気があっていつも楽しくさせてくれる最高のおばさんだ。そんなおばさんとこんな罵り合いはしたくねえ。
you better not. Eva looks like someone who can put you in your shit list for life.
ここにいる誰だってそんなことは望んでねえはずさ。だろみんな。
バトラ君に同じ意味のない罵り合いだね。多分これだけの人数が朝から一ところにずっと集まってるからみんなストレスが溜まってるんだよ。
Well, if everybody sleeps in one room, things won't end well either.
でしょうな。無理もないことです。言ってできるものではありませんが、なるべく皆さんリラックスしましょう。
I think we are having a time skip. Oh.
わしらも頭を冷やすべきとちゃうか。
Oh, okay. I thought we had a time skip.
確かにお父さんの失踪を探る上で重要な手がかりになると思うで。警察が来たら話すといいやろ。
そうね。そう。レシートの一件でつい鬼の首を取ったような気持ちになっちゃったのね。確かに夏日姉さんだけを疑うのはフェアじゃないわ。
Oh, she looks kind of gentle right
私た
now.
ちだって等しく疑わしい。でもね、バトラ君、レシートの話だけは本当よ。これ忘れないでね。そしてこれがどういう意味を持つか、もう一度よく考えてみてね。
Huh. I'm probably sure it's a very important clue, but I wonder in what way. Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi stood up. It looked like they planned on leaving the parlor.
結局私たちはこんな推理ごっこしても意味はないのよ。だってどうせ警察が全て明かしてくれるんですもの。
Mm-hmm. That's right. Even if we don't play this detective game, the typhoon will pass. And when those lively seagulls return to the harbor, everything will settle itself. That's right. If you think about it, this kind of crime is completely trivial. It will definitely be resolved. Cue someone dies this night, even if we do nothing. When the seagulls cry. Roll credits!
これ以上、夏日姉さんも私の顔を見ていたくはないでしょ。私も同じよ。確か姉さんは昨日、ゲストハウスに帰らなくて済むようにって客室を用意してくれたのよね。あそこはバスもトイレもあるし、鍵もチェーンもかかる。横になれるベッドもあるし、主人もマリアちゃんとチャンネル争いをせずにテレビを見ることができるわ。
Hideyoshi and Maria fighting over the TV remote. I want to watch this show, but I want to watch this one.
お好きになさるといいでしょう。でも くれぐれも用心を。
ありがとう姉さん。そして余計なお世話よ。
Damn.
姉さんはみんなの監視をよろしくね。犯人はこの中に必ずいるんだから。そして姉さんも自分が監視をされていることをお忘れなく。
That sounded kinda roasty.
捨て台詞はそれで十分ですか？
ええ、十分よ。じゃあね、夏日姉さん。源氏さん、夕食になったら呼んでね。それまでチェーンをかけて閉じこもってるわ。
I have a bad feeling about this.
源氏、カノ。
They are, after all, the only people alive from the main family that's like still directly related to Kinzo, right?
お二人を客室までお送りを。
結構よ。送り狼なんて嫌だもの。むしろ私たちが部屋に行くまで誰もこの部屋を出ないでくれる方が安心よ。ジョージ行くわよ。
Oh, you're taking
僕
George.
はここでみんなといるよ。
ジョージ、
Oh boy.
この部屋に犯人がいるのよ。そんなところにいるつもり？
この部屋を出るということは親族の誰かを疑うのと同じことだよ。
Oh no.
あんな恐ろしいことができる人間が親族にいるなんて信じない。
George, what were you on about being naive and what separates children from adults? I think you're being naive.
ジョージ、あなたからも言ってやってよ。
ジョージももう一人前の男や。そのジョージの仁義がこの部屋から出えへん言わせるならそれも勝手やろ。
Ah,
好
jeez.
きにさせたれ。
父さん。
Eva was gonna be bonking him on the head with the fan like, donk, you dummy! On Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi left. The only voice that called after them was the sound of the rain. Is it time for a time skip? Please? The parlor was being buried beneath a savage atmosphere. When I looked at the clock, I was surprised to find that it was already evening. What, already? Had we already spent that much time worrying about needless things, talking with each other, fighting with each other? Yeah, apparently. Feeling bored, I started scratching at my head when Maria and I made eye contact. I was a little surprised when I thought she was completely immersed in the TV.
今なら信じるぜ。
He's like immediately like, yes, I believe in batteries, please don't ask.
手紙も殺人もすべてベアトリーチェの仕業だ。いや、むしろ頼むからそうだと名乗り出てほしいぜ。19人目の仕業ってことにさせてくれ。じゃなきゃ俺たち18人はいつまでも互いを疑い合わなくちゃならねえ。これなら19人目の存在を信じる方がマシさ。
What's up?
扉も窓も開けずにじいさまを外へ連れ出すなんて。ベアトリーチェならお茶の子さいさいなんだろう。
Maria, after taking a single short breath, hung her head and then raised her face again. Uh-oh.
そうだよ。
Oh, there we are. It's the witch personality.
魔女の前に扉の鍵なんて何の役にも立たないんだよ。ベアトリーチェは72中のすべてに精通する。
72 demons?
33位のガープは望む相手を望む場所へ瞬時に運ぶ力を与えるし、
Why do I feel like I've heard that name before?
彼女にとってどのような密室に閉じこもった人間だろうと連れ出すことは難しいことでも何でもないんだよ。
Oh, jeez. Oh, boy.
魔女はすげえな。頼むから。もしまだ事件を起こす気なら絶対に俺に19人目を。いや、魔女の存在を信じさせてくれよ。
Maria's like, it's like, if you so wish.
いいよ。あったら伝えておくよ。
Battler. Battler, if someone dies this night because of you in a bizarre way, it's your fault. Crap. Nothing's made sense to me for a while now. Just when I want to believe in a 19th person, I deny it. And just when I want to believe there are 18 people, I deny that too. Even though I want there to be more than just 18 people here, I can accept the existence of that 19th person. In short, even though there are more than 18 people, there are less than 19 people. Number of people in this mansion is 19x. Wait, 19 is greater than x is greater than 18. I'm bad at math. Don't judge. So the number of people can be represented by any integer. Math. However, it's impossible for those to be anything after the decimal point. You shouldn't be able to show the number of people with anything but an integer. And yet, 19 is greater than x is greater than 18. Battler? Please, in simple English, how do you explain the fraction less than 1? It's no wonder that 19 person was something that couldn't be seen. That's why, since you can only write the number of people as an integer, you couldn't see that person. That which cannot be seen, because Beatrice has no body. Therefore, she is invisible. Is there a 19 person or not? Does the witch exist or not? 19 is greater than x is greater than 18. The witch exists somewhere in that x. It's either a costume or just a ghost story. Oh, we're getting a time skip. Is it time for dinner? Yeah, seems like it. I thought we were gonna skip to the next day, but I don't think so. Okay. What's happening? The uncomfortable atmosphere continued even after those two left. It was thick with the idea that simply thinking about the culprit's identity would be the same as deciding whom to suspect. It had begun to feel like this discussion of the case was itself taboo. So no one mentioned the case, at least out loud. However, those thoughts were what filled our minds. All that we couldn't say aloud made our hearts feel like they were going to explode. So at least on the outside, the parlor had once again regained its calm mood. Everything was left unsettled.
少しだけ雨足が弱まった気がするね。
まだいっぱい降ってるよ。
仮にやんだって、この島には船がねえんだしな。船が明日すぐに来てくれりゃいいんだがよ。
That's true.
洋館バカンさんもうお腹いっぱいだぜ。
母さん、明日船はいつ来るのかな？
That's a good question. I feel like that time will be extremely crucial and when the actual bloodbath will begin.
本来なら帰りの船は今日の3時に来てくれることになっていました。
By 3 you mean 3 a.m. or 3 p.m.?
先方も台風が過ぎてから来直すと電話をしてくれたでしょうが、あいにく電話は普通ですから。でも向こうも子供の使いではありません。客人の方々の送迎目的だと教えてありますから、おそらく明日の朝一番で、多分9時頃くらいに来てくれるでしょう。
9 a.m. Okay. So you guys have to survive until 9 a.m. Good luck. It was completely black outside. When I looked at the clock, I realized that it was just past 7 p.m. or a.m. I was starting to get hungry. Okay, p.m. since it's not the next day. In the kitchen, Kumasawa was cooking enthusiastically. She had laid out a variety of dishes, and while they didn't match the level of Koda's artful cooking, they were still quite gorgeous. It was an act of kindness from Kumasawa, who was trying to enliven everyone's low spirits with some food. Kumasawa wasn't nearly as talented as a professional cook like Koda, but she was far from unskilled. On the contrary, since she had been brought up in a fishing village, the simple food she created was simply highly praised. Kanan arranged the food Kumasawa had finished creating on plates under her direction. Kanan also helped in the kitchen sometimes, but since he was rarely placed in that role, he was slightly awkward, even though he tried his best. He's doing his best, you guys! Self-conscious about the fact that he couldn't cleverly arrange the food, Kanan's expression darkened slightly. But Kumasawa smiled as though everything was fine.
綺麗に盛り付けられてますよ。カノン君もお上手ですよ。
シャノン姉さんだったらもっと綺麗に。
Oh no! Stop! Don't make me cry again! Kanon stopped arranging the food for a bit and hung his head. Shannon was the one who always assisted Kumasawa in her cooking. Tonight, Kanon was doing it instead. And as he remembered Shannon's face and her brutal end, he grimaced. It's time for that ominous song again. Genji spoke kindly to Kanon as he advanced the pawn. Oh, they're playing chess! Nanjo had escaped from the power runs to move at its tower. Genji had become his opponent in a game of chess upon Nanjo's request. Oh god, why did I literally imagine Battle bursting into their game and taking their chessboard and spinning it like... like, come on, I was about to checkmate Nanjo. This is how I cope with the tense atmosphere, by making jokes. Genji purposefully refrained from facing Kanon as he spoke. He did so because he understood that it might make things tougher on Kanon if he noticed that someone was looking at his eyes. Nanjo also understood that he held back any thoughtless words.
金蔵さんもどこへ行かれたんでしょうな。ご無事だといいのですが。わかりません。ただ、すべては親方様が望まれ、仕組まれたことのように思っています。
Oh, here's a kitty.
それを邪推する
Finally.
親方様にお仕えする家具には過ぎたことです。源氏さんは怖くないのですか
No, come sit.
私には今夜まだ何か良くないことが起こるような気がして。
I am 100% sure something will happen tonight. 100%.
何も。私はただ後ろ宮家にお仕えするだけですので。
There she is. Yes, sit. The kitty is now here. Hello, kitty. Hello. She is watching murder with us. Like, she's like, I can't wait for more murder. Alright. Sorry about that. Let me continue. Nanjo sighed through his nose and made a carefully considered move. Nanjo was very slightly dubious. Could Genji possibly be thinking that he'd be left out of this? He couldn't even imagine what was happening inside the mansion, but he definitely couldn't deny the possibility that Kinzo had devised something. If you liken this island to chess, Kinzo had opened the game, and as a result, 6 pieces had been defeated. Could it be that Genji was calm because he believed he was alone on the outside of the chessboard and therefore safe? Nanjo thought about it. Isn't everyone just a piece on this chessboard lined up equally without any exceptions? Wasn't even Genji, who had gained more of Kinzo's trust than anyone. No, who was confident of his position as Kinzo's only close friend. Just another one of those pieces laid out on the chessboard.
Genji-san.
Give me a headbutt. Please give me a headbutt. Yes! Good girl.
私は今夜が本当に怖いのです。無事に明日の朝を迎えられることを心より願っています。
I don't think any of you are safe tonight. Prepare to die! The guest room Eva and Hideyoshi moved into had originally been built to the house guests before the guest house construction. So until a few years ago, they had stayed in these rooms every family conference and were very familiar with them. This room was just like a room at a hotel, with a bedroom and a bathroom. So even if they were still shut in, it was far more comfortable than the parlor.
やっぱり家族だけだとリラックスできるな。他のみんなも客室にこもって鍵をかけてりゃええんや。
夏日姉さんが客間を出るなって威張り散らしてるんだもん。あの人ずーっと冷や飯を食ってきたから兄さんが死んでやっと天下が来たって張り切ってんのよ。
What? Are you jealous?
まったくずうずうしいったら嵐の
She's being unbelievably pouty.
まあそう言うな。夏日さんもあれで結構頑張っとるんやで。 お前もそう突っかからんでもええやないか。さっきのレシートの件もあそこまでは言い過ぎやで。
だってあそこで言わなかったらもう言うタイミングがないんだもん。
Okay, I see what you mean. Eva, soaking cutely and looking at the television, sat alongside Hideyoshi, who was lying on the bed. Oh, they're being a lovey-dovey couple right now.
でも、こうして二人きりになるのはずいぶん久しぶりよね。
Oh my god, what's happening? Are they gonna, you know?
思えばわしもお前も老けたもんや。
Eva still looks pretty
ジョ
young
ージが
though.
生まれてから何もかもがあっという間や。
本当にあっという間よ。子供を作るの焦りすぎたかしら。
Eva's eyes looked like they were staring off into the distance. Yes, she had thought of it as a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Her older brother Kraus had been unable to father a child for quite some time. 6 years passed after his marriage to Natsuhi without any signs of pregnancy, which didn't please Kinzo at all. Eva herself had thought that, since her name would be moved outside the Ushiromiya register when she got married anyway, it didn't matter whether a successor to the headship was born or not. And then, one day, she had the heavenly revelation. Or maybe it was the whisperings of the devil that she had listened to in her greed. If she could give birth to a successor first, wouldn't she be able to remain in the Ushiromiya register? If things went well, might she have a chance to inherit the Ushiromiya family herself? When she proposed this to Hideyoshi, he had approved of it instantly. This wasn't because Hideyoshi also had greedy thoughts. For Hideyoshi, who had no close relatives, it was a chance for him to feel once more the long-forgotten thing called family. So when they got married, he hadn't fussed over which last name they were to keep, and had quickly agreed to have his name entered into the Shiromiya family register. Oh, it hadn't been easy to persuade Kinzo, but as his daughter, Eva knew Kinzo's personality well. So by choosing the time when Kinzo was most dissatisfied with Natsuhi, she was magnificently able to make him accept Hideyoshi as an adopted son-in-law. Looking at Hideyoshi, who had achieved success after starting from nothing, Kinzo might have seen a little bit of himself. He quickly grew to like Hideyoshi and approve his transfer into the Ushiromiya register. George would eventually become the successor of the Ushiromiya family. I almost see a pattern here that Kinzo tends to like the non-Ushiromiya wives and husbands. Like, he likes Natsuhi enough to consider her a daughter, and apparently, at least from Eva's perspective, likes Hideyoshi as well. Okay, George would eventually become the successor to the Ushiromiya family. They had raised him strictly with that purpose in mind. He had been worth their while and had grown into a fabulous young man who wouldn't disappoint no matter where he went. That was why he had not been permitted to fall in love with a servant like Shannon. So when she learned that Shannon was dead and the engagement was now invalid, though part of her had still been shocked by the gruesome crime, part of her had also been relieved that her dear George wouldn't be stolen by some servant girl. Oh no, don't be like that!
私、クラウス兄さんのことが昔から嫌いだったわ。偉そうで威張ってて。自分がやがて教主になるのだと自慢してて。だから、それに一矢報いてやりたかった。でも、それは子供の頃の感情なのよ。
I mean, Kraus does suck, so I am in support of you, lady.
結局、自分の人生のほとんどを支配した。
Okay, but that does suck.
それだけならまだいい。その感情は、あなたやジョージまで巻き込んで振り回してしまった。
エヴァ、備え自分を責めるな。
Oh. Hideyoshi got up and held Eva's shoulder. She could feel a warm understanding from him.
わしはな、自分の人生はもうとっくに折り返しに入っとる。でもな、今日までの生活を後悔したことは一度もないで。
How old is he again? Does the profile say? Give me a second. System. Where is he? Here. Okay, it doesn't say his age.
一度もや。エヴァと一緒で 他の男どもじゃ味わえん楽しい人生になったと思っとる。
Oh, this is a sweet
戦
dialogue.
争で身寄りを失ったわしにもう一度家族のぬくもりを教えてくれた。
Oh, this is so
だ
sweet.
から後ろ宮の家には感謝しとるし、わしとお前が歩んできた人生にな。
I get the feeling this is a death flag.
来なかった。
But even if it is, this is still a sweet dialogue.
ほんまに楽しい人生やったで。
Yeah, I get the feeling Hideyoshi is next.
ありがとう、あなた。
Oh, they're sweet. Eva hung her head, burying her face in Hideyoshi's chest. Probably no one in the parlor could even imagine that this side of Eva
感
existed.
謝するのはわしや。
Oh,
今までお前と一緒にいて後悔した日なんてあらへん。
stop! I can't take the sweetness.
私もよ。
あなたと一緒になれてよかった。
ジョージももう立派な大人や。わしが見張ってなくてもしっかり仕事ができる一人前や。で、正月あたりをのんびりモルジブあたりで過ごさんか。わしら二人水いらずや。
Oh no, Hideyoshi, please stop. You were gonna die.
だよ。毎年
The culprit is gonna come for you next. No!
ないとか言ってるじゃない。
次の正月だけはなしや。年賀状はみん。黙って下のお年玉くじだけチェックするんや。今年はカラーテレビくらい当てたいで。
A color TV?
モルジブでお年玉くじのチェックなんてしたくない。
じゃあそいつもなしや。水いらずのんびりでジョージが生まれる直前の新婚時代の続きをちょいとしてみんか。
That sounds nice.
それならいいわね。
モルジブはええとこらしいで。なんもない島に美しいサンゴ礁と水上コテージが並んでてな。
新婚時代の続きっていつからなの？
How long have they been married?
仕事納めしたらすぐや。旅行店に聞いてみんとわからんが、多分大晦日前には。
いや、今すぐがいい。
Oh, they want to go right now. Eva nagged at his lips in a peevish yet flirtatious manner. The only sounds that filled the room were the distant voice of the announcer on the news, which Hideyoshi had left on, and the obnoxious pounding of the rain against the window. Oh, they kissed! Oh, that's a sweet family moment. The cat is yelling. Kiki! Come here. Baby, come here. There was a knock on the door and Genji-san entered.
奥様、お夕食の準備が整いました。
Dinner is ready. It's time for someone to
お
die.
食事はまたこちらでよろしいですか？
ええ、ここへ運ばせなさい。南條先生はまだ厨房にいるのですか？
はい。次の一手を熟考したいとおっしゃっております。ご安心を。他の使用人たちとご一緒。
源氏さんはじい様の相手ができるくらい。
Dang it, I thought the pause meant I could press next. This keeps happening.
南條先生よりも強いらしいぜ。
そうなんだ。昔相手をしてもらったことがあるけど、あれは勝たせてくれたのかな。
マリア、もうすぐ飯だそうだぜ。しかしよく一日中テレビを見ていて飽きねえな。
Oh dear.
いつもテレビいっぱい見てるから平気。
You're always watching TV? Rosa doesn't tell you to move out of the TV.
マリアちゃんはテレビっ子なんだね。
Understandable though.
食事だから机の上を片付けないとダメだぜ。
Earlier we had torn several pages out of Maria's notebook, and there was now a mess where everyone had been drawing together. Jessica began cleaning that up quickly. Still, everyone here really can draw. I'd never guessed.
源氏、
So, what were they drawing? I want to know.
エヴァさんたちにもせめて食事くらい一緒にしないかとお声をかけなさい。
Oh boy, I have a bad
ど
feeling
うせ
about
断る
this.
でしょうが。
かしこまりました。
お父様の次はエヴァさんですか。つくづく後宮家の食卓には全員が揃いませんね。
Natsuki felt her headache start throbbing again and lightly held her temples. Oh boy. The distance from the kitchen to the parlor wasn't that great, so Genji had gone and come back by himself, but the guest room was a little farther away. Natsuki warned him to avoid being alone whenever possible, and just now Nanjo had also admonished him, saying it would be better if he held a little more concern for his safety. Kanon accompanied Genji, and the two of them went to visit Eva and Hideyoshi's in their guest room. Genji knocked on the door.
Eva-sama, Hideyoshi-sama.
He is leaning against the door. Against the gigantic door. He waited a short while for them to come out, but there was no response. Oh no! Uh-oh. I was about to say they're not coming out because they just had a moment. But Kanon pointed under the door. Shit. Well, shit. I don't like this. A western envelope had been inserted under it. Normally, when something was inserted this way, it'd be interpreted as a message from someone outside to someone in the room. So since this might be a private note meant for Eva and Hideyoshi, it was not something that Kanon and Genji were supposed to take interest in. But this western envelope was one of Kinzo's, the same kind as the one Maria had taken out last night and surprised everyone with. Uh-oh. Well? Even though this was one of Kinzo's envelopes, the letter Maria read aloud the previous night hadn't come from Kinzo. Is it Beatrice? Genji continued knocking a little harder and called out in a loud voice. Oh boy. Uh-oh. This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. This is not good. But there was no response from the inside. Oh no! Sometimes when the servants went to call some guests for a meal, the guests would be sleeping so deeply they wouldn't wake up. I hope this is the case. In times like that, the servants would stick a letter in the door to show that it was time to come out and they leave the guests be. But despite that, Genji beat even harder on the door and called out Eva's name. However, there was no answer. Oh shit, I knew that dialogue before had to be a death flag. Kanon stuck his ear up to the door, held his breath, and listened for any sounds coming from inside. Oh dear. The room might be empty. I don't think so. Genji took out the handkerchief and, careful not to touch it with his bare hands, gently pulled out the envelope that had been stuck under the door. It was sealed with deep red sealing wax. Without a doubt, the mark on that sealing wax had come from the Oshinomiya family head's ring.
Eva-sama! Eva-sama!
But there was still no answer. Oh shit! There was a chance that those two were aimlessly walking around the mansion. I hope so! This was the home Eva had grown up in. There was plenty of reason to think that she had gone out on a casual stroll. Genji groped around in his pocket and pulled out the bundle of keys, which contained the keys that would open the door. The key that would open the guest room. Kanon also understood what this meant. They would sometimes unlock the door so they could go in and do things like make the beds, but only after they made sure the guests were out. To unlock the door for any other reason, and especially to do so when there was a chance the guests hadn't been given permission and might still be in there, was an action unbecoming of a servant. I mean, we have to check if they're not dead. Come on, Kanon. But Genji had decided. If the only problem had been that this knock hadn't been received a reply, he wouldn't have gone this far. But the envelope under the door was doubtlessly one of Kinzo's. Or rather, one of the western envelopes of the Ushinomiya family head. After last night, the sender of this envelope could be someone other than Kinzo. If this letter had been sent by someone else... Oh jeez, oh jeez, I think she's dead. I think Eva is dead. After giving that final notice, Genji stuck one of the keys from the bundle into the keyhole. Give me a second, my cat is doing some noise. Okay, sorry about that. I heard like something that sounded like plastics being like tossed around, and I thought my cat was doing something. Okay, so we are going in. There was a sound of the door unlocking, and after slowly turning the knob, he slowly started opening the door. Oh shit. Light seeped through the crack of the door. Were they in the room? Or had they forgotten to turn out the lights? It was the sound of the door chain being pulled tight. The chain had been secured. The chain couldn't be secured from the outside. Oh, wait. It was my impression. There is plastic being played with. I think my cat is doing something she shouldn't. Give me a second. Please stop. Okay, I got the thing she was playing with. She was playing with some plastic. I don't know where she got it from. Maybe she scavenged. Okay, the chain couldn't be secured from the outside. Detective Conan would say otherwise. So it also proved that they were in the room. The sound of voices on a TV seeped out of the room. The lights, the chain, and the TV. All of these things made it clear they were in the room, but there was no sign of them. Genji called to Eva once again through the crack of the door, but there was no answer.
Genji-sama, いかがしますか?
Break in the door. As part of their job, the servants were able to unlock almost any lock in the mansion. But they had no way to open a door with a chain. The only way to get by the chain was to cut it. They were certainly not permitted as a part of a servant's usual work. A creepy chill had already rushed up their backs. Kanon held his breath again and tried to sense someone through the door, but even so, he was not able to sense anyone. I don't think this is a good idea. Are you gonna leave Kanon alone? As Kanon hurried away to get a cutting tool, Genji called him to a stop. Okay, good, thank you.
はい、かしこまりました。
It looked like Kanon was wondering why he had to do something so troublesome in the middle of this urgent situation, but Kenny had said it out of wariness. He didn't care what happened to himself, but in the worst case scenario, he didn't want anything to happen to Kanon. No, please worry about yourself! In the kitchen, Kumasawa was piling food on the serving cart, and Anjo was waiting for Genji, apparently wanting to show him a move he finally thought up that might turn the tables on him. But Genji's appearance immediately told him that something was wrong. The music is getting tense, this is bad. Oh man, Genji is a very well organized master servant. Genji took Nanjo, who still didn't know what was going on, and quickly left the kitchen. Serious mode Kumasawa was on. Oh god, if there are corpses inside, Kumasawa's gonna pass out. The poor lady! Kumasawa said almost exactly the same thing as Nanjo, unable to take in the situation, and chased after Kanon, who had flown out into the hallway. Don't run, Kanon, wait for the lady! Taking Kumasawa with him, Kanon went to a storage room and looked through the tools packed in toolboxes and hanging all over the walls, trying to find something that could be used to cut the chain.
何を探してるんですか? 私も手伝いますよ。
ドアチェーンを切断するんです。大きめの番線カッターはどこだ?
ドアチェーンを? どうしてそんなことをするんですか?
Oh boy.
エヴァ様たちのお部屋にチェーンが中にいらっしゃるはずなのに、お声をかけても返事がないんです。
It took Masao some time to figure out how cutting the chain and Eva and Hideyoshi not answering were connected, but she did realize that this was an urgent situation. Kanon took down a very large wire cutter that had been hanging on the wall. It was called a cutter, but maybe it'd be easier to understand if we said it was shaped like a large pair of pliers. Kanon remembered once being warned that this dangerous tool could easily cut through one of your fingers. Kanon took that and rushed up the stairs. He already knew instinctively he should fight for every minute, every second to open it quickly. Or perhaps it was already too late. Come on, she's an old lady! Have mercy! Masao eventually caught up with him, gasping for breath with both hands on her knees. When Kanon changed his grip on the wire cutters and looked up at the door, he let out an "ah!" struck speechless. Oh. Well. There's the next one. Masao screamed weakly, her face pallid. That was no surprise, because right there, on the door, just like the magic circle that had been drawn on the shutter of the Rose Garden storehouse, there was another eerie shape drawn with a blood-like paint. However, it would be odd to call this one a magic circle, because unlike what most people would expect, it wasn't a circle with shapes drawn inside it, but a slightly more complicated geometrical shape. However, those strange characters filling in the gaps, which weren't from the alphabet, were the same kind as the ones on the magic circle on the shutter. But the thing that had Kanon struck speechless wasn't how eerie the magic circle was. It was that something like this hasn't been here for a short while ago. First, he had taken a trip back to the kitchen. After that, he'd gone to the storage room to grab a tool and headed right back. Put those together and it hadn't been even more than 5 minutes. How could someone add something this creepy during that period of time? Good question. It's probably someone who does speed paints. As though it had just been drawn, almost like the door itself was bleeding. Several unsettling vertical red lines slowly dripped down, getting longer and longer. Oh, the poor lady! Kumasawa's knees gave away and she sank down on the spot. If Kumasawa hadn't done this first, then Kano surely would have wanted to. Uh-oh.
ベアトリーチェ様の仕業ですよ。恐ろしや恐ろしや。
Kanon gulped, then readied the wire cutter and approached the door. He hadn't wanted to get close to this disturbing magic circle, and he really didn't want to touch the steadily dripping substance that looked like blood. But if he didn't get close, he wouldn't be able to cut the chain. Fighting this cold feeling, he gulped again, and after gathering his courage, he went even closer. Oops, sorry. Putting the wire cutter up against the chain. He then pressed with all of his strength, managing to cut through the chain far more easily than he'd anticipated. The cut chain fell in 2 separate parts, which continued to clang as they swayed back and forth.
Kanon-san, 足元に封筒が。しかもこれは。
Oh boy. It looked like Kumasawa had also noticed the western envelope at the bottom of the door, and that the sealing wax had been sealed with the head's ring. Kanon hesitated for just a second over whether he should open the letter first or check inside the room, but he eventually decided on fulfilling his original purpose. Kanon pulled the handkerchief out of his pocket. This was so he wouldn't leave fingerprints on the door. If his worst fears were realized, the police would want to investigate this room too. He slowly pushed the door open. He was able to more clearly hear the sound of the television, which had been seeping out faintly this whole time.
Eva-sama.
Eva? Where you at? Eva was lying face up on the bed. On the bed which her shoes were still on? Kumasawa had fearfully entered after Kanon, who was hiding behind his back, screamed a short eek again when she saw Eva like that. Eva's shoes had been the first part of her that Kanon had seen, so the oddness of wearing shoes in bed was the first thing to strike him. But when Eva's head shifted into his line of sight, Kanon couldn't help but let out a short scream like Kumasawa. Right in the middle of Eva's forehead, something had been placed? Something was growing there? No. right in the center of her forehead. Was it an old-fashioned knife? Oh! That or some weapon like it was sticking out. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Eva is super dead. At the base of where it was stuck in, blood dripped down, staining the sheets on the other side a bright red. Masawa's knees gave away once more, and she sank down on the floor. Oh god! Her mouth kept flapping open and closed, but she couldn't even scream. Eva was dead, with some kind of weapon sticking out of her forehead. Both eyes were open wide, and the image of the person who killed her must have been burned into them. But the only mouth capable of naming that person had been shut for all eternity. Even though her forehead was the last place they wanted to look, they couldn't tear their eyes from it. Right there, the weapon was stuck into Eva's forehead, standing almost perfectly upright. And on the handle was a complicated design that you wouldn't expect to see on an ordinary weapon. That thing could be summed up with the word occult. Oh, I think this was the same music we used when we discovered the previous bodies. It was a vulgar object with a design that might have been of some demon. Eva was on top of her bed, but the other bed was empty. Where was Hideyoshi? Oh no. After taking a backwards glance at Kumasawa, still on her knees and stupefied, he checked the bathroom just in case. At the moment he opened the door, he was greeted by the steam and the sound of the shower. The bathroom was the same of the familiar style as most hotel bathrooms. When taking a shower, a waterproof curtain was used to keep water from flying out. Oh! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! They're showing a corpse! The waterproof curtain was half open. And lying tumbled down in the bathtub was Hideyoshi, completely naked with both eyes open. And pointing right at Kanon. Just like Eva, a weapon with a demon-like design was stuck into his forehead. Since his head had been under the shower's hot water this whole time, his face wasn't half covered and filthy with blood like Eva's had been. But the sight of him dead while still taking a shower was tragic enough. Oh jeez, they were having a romantic moment and they just died. Just then they heard Natsu's voice coming from the hall. She was probably coming with Genji. Oh jeez. Oh boy. Natsu said that. She picked up the envelope. And before checking its contents, she entered the room herself where she found Eva dead. Oh no. Oh dear. Ah, jeez, this is terrible. Kanon gripped his handkerchief and twisted the valve, turning off the shower. Aren't we technically... okay, no. In that, even if the culprit didn't have gloves, I don't know if there are fingerprints. In the bathtub, a small jar of body soap had fallen with its cap off. It really looked like he'd been attacked while taking a shower. There was still a small splash of blood clinging to the white bathtub, and the combination of red and white made a horrible contrast. An hour, so maybe he and Eva really did get to have a moment, and then the person was like, alright, now it's time. Come on, they were just having a good moment. Nanjo checked their pulse and their pupils, making certain of their deaths once more. As Kano watched this business-like treatment, he thought, couldn't you tell at a glance that they'd be dead without doing all that? Nanjo thought about removing the weapon, but then decided it'd be better to preserve the scene and hand it over to the police, so he left it alone. But a close inspection of the base showed that it didn't have a blade. In fact, it was more conical than blade shaped. Ah, oh god, that hurts. He noticed that, rather than a knife, it was more like a short-handled spear, something with a shape better suited for thrusting than slicing. Rather than a short spear, you might call it a thick ice pick. Oh, ooh, that hurts. At any rate, after looking at the scene, no further words were needed to describe what sort of terrible purpose such eerily designed weapons were originally made for. Nor was it necessary to explain how they carried out their function. Rest in pieces, Eva. Rest in pieces, Hideyoshi. Press F in the chat, boys. Natsu, hoping to escape the repulsive steam filling the bathroom as soon as she could, covered her mouth with a handkerchief and dashed from the room. Just viewing their gruesome bodies for an instant had been enough to burn the image into her eyes. If she looked any longer, that image would surely remain in her vision for all eternity. The rising urge to vomit was exactly the same feeling she'd had the morning at the garden storehouse. For a while, Natsu couldn't help but stand with her back facing the guest room, fighting that sickness in her stomach. There they are coming. They're gonna find out sooner or later anyway. It's not as bad as the other ones, but yeah, it's still pretty youch. But they could tell that those fiercely racing footsteps in the hall room belonged to George even before he came dashing into the room. Oh shit! George and the other children had been waiting in the parlor. However, when they saw Genji speak to Natsu, when they saw her turn pale and fly out of the parlor, they felt a sense of foreboding. And when they saw a large group of people gathered around the guest room, they were sure of it. Oh jeez. More George crying. Oh no! Uh-oh. Oh, Maria's here this time. I think she's gonna read it right away. Well, Kanon didn't have to say anything. George's scream after he ran into the room told them everything they needed to know. Man, George gets no breaks at all. First his possible fiance, and now his parents. Youch. Natsu touched George's shoulder with her hand, but he violently shook her off. Oh jeez, he's losing it. George fell over beside Eva and buried his face in the bed in front of his mother's face, wailing. Then he pounded on the bed with his fist over and over again. I don't think George is okay. Where's Battler? Battler had his back against the wall of the hallway and was covering his eyes with his right hand and weeping without restraint. Oh, he actually light on Eva. Yeah, I feel that, Battler. Very much so. Of course it's sad whenever anyone dies, no matter who it is, but to Battler, those left alone by the deaths of others were far more worthy of pity. Everyone here now had lost someone close to them. George wasn't the only one to be pitied. However, George's pain was far greater than anyone else's. Oh dear. Oh boy.
一つずつ順番に訪れるべきもんじゃねえかよ。
Oh boy.
無すぎるぜ。やろう。やろう。
Everyone's getting angry.
人の情けってもんがねえのかよ。
Probably not.
バトラ、泣かない泣かない。
What? Maria tried to comfort Battler in a mechanical sounding voice. Oh jeez. Battler violently wiped his tears.
くそ。もう流さないぜ。
Oh dear.
悔し涙も悲しみの涙ももう二度と流さねえぜ。
You sure about that?
全然ダメだ。俺たちは魔女様に爪を食らってるわけだ。主勢一方ってわけだ。
Oh dear.
そりゃダメだぜ。全然ダメだ。チェス盤がひっくり返っちまうぜ。
Runs over to the kitchen, grabs the chessboard that Nanjo and Genji were using.
野郎は俺たち羊が明日まで逃げる手段もなく怯えてるだけだろうと思ってるだろうよ。だからひっくり返すぜ。明日までこの島から逃げられねえのは野郎も同じだ。
Oh man.
しょんべんちびりそうになりながら逃げ隠れするのは俺たちじゃねえ。暴いてやるぜ。必ずな。
Will you?
いや、明日なんか待たねえ。今夜中にその胸ぐらを掴み上げてやる。
Is that a promise? Oh boy. I thought something like this might happen after the whole discussion with Natsuhi and Eva. Like the culprit would kill Natsuhi and sorry, Eva and Hideyoshi to use that suspicion against Natsuhi.
いいですね。
Natsuhi announced it as though she didn't care whether they agreed or not. If anyone had the right to object, it would have been George, but he looked as though he'd shed enough tears. George nodded slightly, still facing away from the others. And when he stood up, everyone else agreed too. Natsuhi still hadn't opened that western envelope of the family head that she picked up. But now that they decided to leave this room, she decided to unseal it in the parlor where everyone could watch. As soon as they walked onto the hallway to head back to the parlor, some of them immediately felt something out of place or maybe sensed something strange. What now?
答えよ。
Oh no!
マリアもわかるか。
It stinks.
こりゃ何の匂いだよ。
What the hell?
匂いだぜ。
Did someone else die? When everyone sniffed the air, they didn't notice a horrible burnt smell drifting through the hallway. None of them had smelled until then.
私、ちょっと厨房を見てきます。
Please someone go with her.
火はちゃんと消したはずなんですよ。
After noticing a burnt smell, it was natural that Kumasawa had just been using the burner in the kitchen, suspected her own slip-up had caused it. Kumasawa hastily dashed away. Please someone go with her!
カノン、熊沢と行きなさい。
Yes, please.
一人にさせないように。
はい。
After nodding at Genji's order, Kanon followed after her. He wasn't running, but as he followed her, he tried to search for a cause of the smell in other directions as well.
臭い。
これは確かに鼻が曲がりそうな匂いですね。
Oh man.
しかし、
Are they... Is it possibly Kinzo? Are they gonna find Kinzo burning? He's the only other person I can think of that could be, like, stinking.
換気扇を回させましょう。
Run the fan.
窓を開ける必要はないと思います。
ジョージの兄貴、話しかけても大丈夫かよ。
He's gonna... Oh god.
犯人を探す相談なら構わないよ。
Oh boy. It seemed that George had managed to climb out of the abyss of the sorrow. All that filled his chest now was a quiet flame of hatred towards the culprit who had stolen the lives of the one he loved and his beloved parents.
部屋にはチェーンがかかってた。さっき構造を見たが、とても外から細工できる代物じゃねえ。つまり、完璧な密室だったってことだ。
Could it have been maybe a double suicide? Because Eva did say
そうなる
something
ね
like, I want to go right now, but I don't think it was that. I think that it's just one of those closed room mysteries again. Like in Conan, in Detective Conan, there was a case with a chain just like that, and they used tape or something to get or like piano strings to get the chain to close from outside. Maybe it's something similar.
バラ庭園の倉庫の時はシャッターの鍵を使用人室からこっそりと持ち出したのだろうとか、あるいは複製の鍵を持っていた可能性とか、いくつか方法が想像できた。でもチェーンは違う。チェーンは一般に浸透した施錠方法の中で最もシンプルに密室を構築できる。
That's true, yes.
チェーンだけは物理的に破壊しない限り外からはどうにもならないぜ。じゃあつまり犯人は扉からは出入りしなかったってことなのか。
They could have.
こりゃ面白いや。つい数時間ほど前にも扉以外でどうやって部屋から出入りしたのかってみんなで騒いだ気がするぜ。
Back then, sorry, we were all losing our cool, wondering how grandfather had disappeared from his room. The receipt Aunt Eva stuck in the door on a whim proved that the door had remained sealed, and since Aunt Natsuhi was the only person to enter and exit during that time, she was under suspicion. Aunt Eva proposed a theory about how Aunt Natsuhi might have thrown grandfather out the window and left by the door herself. But the story is much simpler. It was sealed from the inside by the door chain. The window had been locked from the inside, and the bodies had been inside the room. This time, it really had been, without exaggeration, a true closed room. That's right. If we include grandfather's disappearance, 3 cases have occurred, and all 3 times the door has been the point of interest. The first was the shutter. There was a key in the servant room, and if we assume someone knew about that, this can't really be called a closed room. The next was the door sealed by the receipt. However, Aonatsi entered that room, so if grandfather had left through the window or been thrown out, she would have been able to lock the door before escaping. Or like my theory, grandfather could have hidden until the receipt was gone and left the room later. Basically, this door can be defeated with a handful of desperate tricks. In that case, you really can't call this one a closed room either. And now we have the door sealed with the door chain. Finally, we have to give up. And the window, the door, everything had been locked. It was a perfectly closed room. The first hadn't been a closed room because everyone could be suspected. The second hadn't been a closed room because now Nazi could be suspected. But this time, no one can be suspected. Listen, it's like I said, you can close a door with a chain by using a piano string or tape to get it to close. It's not that hard. I promise. This was a perfect closed room because the door chain formed a seal that blocked everyone equally well.
なら、犯人は室内に入らずに犯行に及んだ。部屋の外から何らかの方法で。
It's either with the piano string method or the tape, or it was a double suicide.
確かに。チェーンである以上、人が通れるほどは開けなくても、多少の隙間を開けることができる。ノックして顔を覗かせたところを襲うとか。いや、甘いか。
甘いよな。エヴァおばさんの遺体が扉のすぐそばだったなら、それも考えたぜ。だが、エヴァおばさんは部屋の奥のベッドの上。しかも、秀吉おじさんはバスルームだった。チェーンの隙間からでは、姿を見ることもできねえし、手を伸ばすこともできねえ。ちくしょう。全然ダメだぜ。さっぱりだ。
Oh man. Something was tugging softly at my sleeve. It was Maria. No, I know she's gonna jump scare me. Oh, okay.
満足って何が
マトラは親族の誰かを疑うのが嫌だから犯人はベアトリーチェであってほしいと願ったよ。だからベアトリーチェは叶えた。
Damn it, Battler! You had one job!
マトラが言った通り 絶対に人間には無理なことをして
No!
バトラに魔女の存在を信じ
No! You guys haven't read Detective Conan cases enough. There, I swear to God, in the anime, every third case has the same damn trick with the closed chain. Like, oh no, no human could have done this crime in a closed room like that. And then it's always like, oh, he used a piano string to get the chain locked from the outside, or he used tape, or blah 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 blah, or it was a double suicide. You guys don't read enough detective novels.
なのにわがまま
What is he doing? No, Battler, come on. I tapped Maria, who was laughing unpleasantly, on the head with my fist. Come on!
ああ、叶えてくれてありがとうよ。
Battler, don't hit
今の
her.
その礼と
I'm gonna hit
人生の
you.
時に笑ったことへの教育的指導だ。
I'm coming for you. I'm taking my bottle with me.
それより教えやがれ。
I'm gonna bonk Battler.
エヴァおばさんたちの部屋の扉にもまた怪しげな落書きがされていた。あれもまた魔法陣なのか。
あれは特に覚えやすい特徴的な形なんだから、あのくらい知っててほしいね。
Stop bonking her! Stop it!
知らねえから花を持たせてやってんだ。ごちゃごちゃ言わねえで解説しろい。
Oh my god, Battler, I swear.
バトラは暴力的だね。あんまり意地悪すると教えないよ。
No! Stop!
言うよこのげんこつ男。あれは月の一の魔法陣だよ。
Battler, I'm coming for you. Bottle in hand.
何の意味だ。
Prepare yourself.
その魔法陣のご利益は、書かれてるヘブライ語の意味は。
記されているのは旧約聖書詩編第107編の16節。主は聖堂の扉を破り、鉄の缶抜きを打ち破ってくださいました。魔法陣の効用は2つ。一つはいかなる方法によって閉ざされた扉でも開くことができる。
そりゃ便利な魔法だぜ。つまり魔法の力に頼らなきゃ開けぬ密室の扉っていう魔女様のアピールってわけか。もう一つの効用は、
開かぬ扉を八方塞がりの事態に見立て扉を開く。難解な事態の時に用いることで、それまで思いつきもしなかった解決策を与えてくれるんだよ。平たく言うと、観察力や洞察力、ひらめきや直感を授けてくれるんだね。ベアトリーチェはバトラごとき人間風情に、この扉の開き方がわかるものかって挑発してるんだよ。
Come on! Stop!
よーし、もう黙れご苦労。
Battler, stop bonking!
どうだぜ。その魔女の挑戦、受けてやら。
マリアちゃん、この世に魔女も悪魔も存在しない。父さんと母さんは誰かが殺した。
Oh, even George is joining in now?
それが僕のよく知る人間なのか。でも、そのどちらであっても必ず人間なんだ。
しかしどうやって、せいぜい10センチ程度しか開かない扉の隙間からどうやったら室内の2人を。
それにしても耐え難い匂いです。一体何事なのですか？
Maybe it's Kinzo's corpse burning. Kana and Kumasao had gone on ahead, realized the smell wasn't coming from the kitchen even before they arrived there. That was because they noticed an even thicker wave of stench rising from the stairs leading to the basement, which they passed on their way to the kitchen.
ボイラー室。
The boiler room?
またボイラーの調子が悪いんでしょうか。
I hope not. Oh jeez, is the house gonna explode? The Shining moments here? Those stairs led to the underground boiler room. The mansion's boiler was old and in poor condition. Both of them had witnessed problems with the boiler on several occasions, but they had never smelled the boiler belching out a stench like this before. Slam.
今の音は。
The thing they heard from the basement was definitely the sound of a door closing. Kumasawa had phrased it as a question, but she already knew it couldn't be anything else. Kumasawa was so surprised at the sound that her knees gave away yet again and she cowered. After all, at that very moment, no one could have been in the boiler room. Just a few seconds ago, everyone had been crowded together around Eva and Hideyoshi's room. So who caused the sound of a door closing just now? Well, Kinzo it still hasn't been found.
カノンさん。
After taking a second to sort out the situation, Kanon ran down towards the basement. Say they heard the sound of a door closing just now, and there was no sign of anyone coming up the stairs. The person who closed the door had to be inside the boiler room now. If the boiler room had been a dead end, Kanon wouldn't have rushed in so hastily. But Kanon was a servant, so he knew. There were two entrances to the boiler room, one that opened to the mansion and one that opened to the courtyard. If you didn't chase them now, they might slip away. Oh no! Kumasawa reached the same conclusion long after Kanon did, but she couldn't let him go alone. If the thing in the boiler room was the culprit and an opponent who had easily killed 6 adults in the first murder, then no matter how Kanon confronted them, he wouldn't be a match. Of course, with this argument, even if Kumasawa joined him, it wouldn't change anything. At any rate, after the delay, Kumasawa decided that she mustn't let Kanon go alone, and she rushed down the stairs. Oh no! They're gonna die next, aren't they? I don't like this. I do not like this. After that time, Kanon was already in the boiler room. The boiler's characteristic damp heat tormented him. It had always been an unpleasantly smelly and hot place. And on top of that, the room was full of that horrible stench which had made Kanon feel like he was going to be sick. There was no doubt that this room was the source. In that case, Kanon should have been searching for where the smell was coming from. However, Kanon kept gazing straight forward as he grabbed this hatchet from a tool shed just off the side of the door. He hadn't stretched out his hand because he wanted the hatchet. He had wanted to grab a weapon, any weapon. Why? Kanon gazed into the darkness where the naked light bulb couldn't pierce. Then he answered.
ルーレットは数字と赤黒にかけて配当を競い合う。だが赤か黒かのようなリスクの低い賭けは
jeez. This is... I'm very nervous. The words coming from Kanon's mouth were swallowed up by the darkness. The darkness suddenly started to swirl, glittering. Beatrice? It's Beatrice! Oh no! Bad news, everybody. I think Kanon is next. This is not a good music. Uh-oh. This is very tense. I'm actually getting goosebumps. It was such a fantastical scene. Golden sparkling butterflies that hid in the shadows all over the boiler room flapped their wings, twinkling beautifully, and gathered in the darkness, disappearing. Kanon continued speaking, directing his words at the darkness as it swallowed the butterflies up. But as the butterflies gathered into the darkness, they... perhaps, probably, no, they would certainly laugh. But Kanon continued to speak without faltering in the slightest.
逆により的中率の低いかけ方をすれば、
jeez.
親方様は天文学的なリスクを的中できることを、その結果得られる天文学的な配当を魔法と呼んでいた。親方様とお前がどんな魔法を求めてルーレットに挑んでいるのか。しかしお前は忘れている。
Which
ルーレ
is?
ットには赤でも黒でもない目が出うることを忘れている。
Roulette has a special pocket called Zero, which means that the house takes everything in certain variants of the game. This means that all of the coins bet on the table will be swept up, just as though everyone has forfeit.
僕は一つだけ心に決めていた。もしシャノンが殺されて僕が生き残るようなことがあったなら、この身を投げ出してお前のルーレットを全て台無しにしてやろうと。
Oh boy.
これは親方様が決めたルールでも、ましてこのルールは僕が作った。
Oh boy, Kanon, you are next.
僕はもう家具じゃない。
Oh! Character
お前
development!
のルーレットのゼロなんだ。
Oh boy, he's next. I don't like this. Kanon's face twisted with humiliation. It was clear that his defiance against his own weakness was being ridiculed somehow. Kanon's brow creased further, and a fierce expression that he'd never shown to anyone appeared on his face. The hand grasping the hatchet was shaking. His sweat became drops which slid downward. It was clear that the emotion causing Kanon's hand to shake wasn't just anger. However, Kanon suppressed that emotion.
僕はもうお前の言葉に惑わされたりはしない。悪魔のルーレットはこれでおしまいだ。地獄にてさらに1000年。次の召喚者を待つがいい。ベアドリーチェ
Oh! Did he see Beatrice? When Kanon raised the hatchet and tried to dive into the darkness, the darkness definitely sneered. It sneered at that courage as if it were vulgar, lazy, futile, and meaningless. Oh jeez. Kanon, you are dead. Ah! Oh! That was a laugh. Beatrice, did you kill him? Kanon, his hatchet still held aloft, couldn't take another step after that. With a clang, the hatchet had been grasping fell and rolled on the floor. And following that, with a pair of thuds, Kanon's knees hit left, then right. That hand which looked like it was trying to catch the sky, and now that the hatchet had been dropped, gradually lowered, landing on his chest. Then the other hand did the same. Oh! Yeah, Kanon is dead. Right there, a handle with a demon-shaped design was buried into his chest. The same type of weapon that had been stabbed into Eva and Hideyoshi's forehead was in Kanon's chest. Oh no! Yeah, Kanon is dead. Shit! Kanon was curled up in anguish, fresh blood dribbling from the corner of his mouth. It was makeup too extreme for Kanon's white skin. Beatrice, away! Around this scene, the glittering gold butterflies danced through the darkness, mesmerizing. It was a beautiful, beautiful dance, a funeral march of tribute, ridicule, and contempt for a single boy's self-sacrifice. Kanon had already been prepared for his own death. But although he could do nothing but accept the death he had received, he attempted one last measure of resistance. He grasped the handle of the weapon, sticking into his chest with both hands, gritting his teeth with an acute, unearthly pain. He pulled it out. For only a moment, a bright red spray gushed out. It made an unpleasant gloop sound. It probably resembled the sound of Kanon's soul as it was sucked into the swamps of the dead. And then?
Kanon-san?
No! You came too late! Kumasawa screamed at the incomprehensible sight in front of her. Kanon was lying in a pool of blood. Kumasawa's heart was a complete mess. Ah, what a horrible fate. He wouldn't have been killed if I had been with him. Ah, what an incredible luck. If I had been with him, I might have been killed too. Yeah, that's true. As she screamed, her expression was filled with complete confusion, and all of the muscles of her face were pulled up, almost as though she was smiling while crying. But no one could have made fun of an expression like this. The first one to dash in was Natsu, holding her rifle. Batter and Genji dashed in after her. Normally they would have started discussing the origin of that violent stench filling the boiler room, but after they saw Kanon, who was lying on the ground as if he were drowning in an ocean of his own blood, the stench wasn't important anymore. Ah, jeez. Natsu realized that even though Kanon was on the verge of death, he was still conscious, so she sent Genji to get the doctor. Natsu, holding the rifle afloat, faced the darkness in the center of the boiler room and shouted, Just shoot! Do it! Boom. Batter, thinking quickly, took a large flashlight from the tool shelf alongside the door and used its light to cut through the darkness Natsu was glaring into. but the light only shone on mechanical-looking piping and a door. The door had been left open a small crack, and it was obvious that someone had left through there in a hurry. Courtyard, right?
源氏、あの扉はどこに通じているのですか？
中庭です。
The courtyard, let's go!
逃がすかよ。くそこの野郎。
Battle let out a war cry as he slammed into the door. Cool air from outside suddenly rushed in. There were some thin, rough stairs leading up. Battle ran up them, shouting. Natsu was also rushing up the stairs, chasing after Battler. They were in the courtyard. The courtyard of the mansion had been built strictly for lightning purposes, so it wasn't a very pleasant, elegant place. Because it was surrounded on all sides, the air was calm and completely undisturbed, even though they could hear the sound of strong winds. There was only gentle, sorrowful rain. As he ran through the cold and scattered raindrops, dashing up the stairs in the courtyard, Battler looked into every direction. Of course, the odds of him finding a suspicious silhouette just standing around nonchalantly were pretty much zero. Battler spun, looking around. He got away! No! He turned again and again. He kept spinning until he almost lost his sense of direction. He prayed that he would see the culprit somewhere in the scenery. But there was no chance. All he saw as he spun was more and more of the mansion's heartless walls and windows. Furthermore, there were two entrances in the mansion from the courtyard, and neither of them were locked. Because the courtyard couldn't be entered from outside the mansion, the doors had been built without locks. He didn't know which one had led through. He had to give up. Battler pounded the wall with his fist, swearing. Battler pressed his forehead against the wall, which he scratched at his fingernails as he cried, "You just said you wouldn't cry anymore!" Man, that sucks, doesn't it? Oh jeez, that's 9 people now.
エヴァおばさんも秀吉おじさんも昔からいつも優しくしてくれる愉快なおばさんたちだったじゃねえかよ。カノン君とは昨日会ったばかりだが、
Oh man.
これから仲良くなれたと思うぜ。なんで殺したんだ。どうして。
I would like to know too what the motive is.
殺しちまったらな、二度と生き返らねえんだぞ。タケノコみてえにひょいひょい生えてきちゃ来ねえんだぞ。どうして殺すんだよ。どうして。
Oh man. Rough shit. Today isn't a good day for Battler. Battler was a boy who could understand the feelings of pain and regret in a person's heart, so he cried with all his strength. Natsu had always thought of Battler as a frank person, was a little surprised to find he had this delicate side. And at the same time, she understood how easily hurt the heart of a young person could be, so she held him. Aww, that's sweet.
あなたもジョージ君もマリアちゃんもジェシカも母として、そして後宮家の代表として。
Natsuhi is the only adult we have left, aside of the servants. Aww, Battler, after sobbing into Natsuhi's chest for a while, wiped his tears with a bitter smile, as though he had been like that the whole time, and tried to appear as though he'd cried more than enough already.
とにかく一度下に戻りましょう。犯人を探すより自分たちの身を守る方が最優先です。
I mean...
明日になれば船が来る。そうすれば警察がやってきて、全てを白日のもとにさらし出してくれるで、犯人がどうあがこうともこの島から逃げられるものですか。
そうっすね。
Oh man. What's the time? When the seagulls cried, the crime will be solved. But for some reason, Battler felt a slight sense of uneasiness, as if the seagulls would never cry again. That couldn't be true. When the typhoon passes, surely the lively seagulls will return to the harbor again, if you are still alive until that time. We have until 9 a.m. Until 9 a.m. until shit gets real. I returned to the boiler room along with Nazi and told everyone weakly that we couldn't find anything. We heard that Dr. Nanjo and George Aniki had carried Kanon-kun to the servant room. The servant room had a first aid kit and a sink, and it could apparently function as a nurse's office. Masala-san and Jessica had accompanied them. Stains from Kanon-kun's blood remained on the floor. Judging by the large amount of blood loss and the ruthless shape of the weapon had fallen carelessly to the ground, I figured that Dr. Nanjo's treatment would probably end in vain. The weapon was doubtlessly the same type that had been stuck in Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi's foreheads. But wait, isn't the demonic design on the handle a little bit different? There seemed to be small differences in that part. Still, as far as their overall shape was concerned, the weapons were all of the same type. Though it had seemed brutal, we'd left the weapon stuck into Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi to preserve the crime scene. So this was the first time we were able to have a perfect view of the entire weapon. As we had expected, the weapon was not bladed like a knife, but shaped like an ice pick, or rather a thin stake. And it had a spiral-shaped pattern, not like a sort of like a drill. It looked like something that might be driven into the hearts of human sacrifices in some demonic ritual. Do you think they got Giga drill braked? Including the handle, it was 25 centimeters long. Half of that was the stake-shaped part, which was stained with deep red blood. The length of the blood-stained part made it clear just how deeply it must have penetrated into Kanon's chest. But Anansi and the rest didn't even look at the weapon, and instead stood in the front of the incinerator where the horrible stench was emanating from. Alright, is it time? They must have dragged it out. Dragged out that thing which had been burning in the furnace. It was still smoldering and kept sending out dense waves of that awfully unpleasant smell. Genji-san and Maria stared down at it. Anansi probably couldn't stand to look directly at it. She kept shaking her head, her back to it. I thought nothing could surprise me after everything that's happened. But this is... Ugh. I stood there for a while, moaning with rising urge to vomit. The true source of that unearthly stench is a burning Kinzo. Was a scorched corpse that had been cooking inside the incinerator. See, I told you so! The clothes, the surface of the body, and the hair were all hideously burned. The grotesque corpse was in a state where not the face, nor the age, nor even the gender could be guessed at. But when I thought about it calmly, I realized that a corpse appearing at this time could only be one person. It was grandfather, I guess so, who had disappeared that morning and whose whereabouts had been unknown. Well, shit! But at the same time, have we gone back to the storehouse and counted how many corpses are left there? I think this will be relevant.
でもこの死体本当にじい様だって保証はあるんすかこうも黒焦げじゃ性別さえも想像つかないってのに
バトラ君足をご覧なさい
The feet? Nazi, with her handkerchief over her mouth and eyes averted, pointed to and told me to look at the burned corpse's feet. Huh?
両足の指が6本あるのがお分かりになりませんか
Oh, 6 instead of 5. Did Kinzo have this condition?
本当だ
Just as Kenji-san had said, there were 6 toes on each foot. Each individual toe had looked so normal in its line that I didn't notice. Hadn't noticed.
お生まれの時から両足の指がそれぞれ6本でした
I feel like that can still be easily, easily fooled, right? If it's so burned that you can't tell who it is.
そして故に親方様は後ろ宮家の再興を託されたのです
後ろ宮家には昔から生まれつき多子症の方が多かったそうです
Uh-huh.
多分遺伝的なものでしょう
Oh, yeah, alright, that makes sense. Polydactylity literally means many fingers. Because of a little mistake by God, when the person is born, one of their toes or fingers splits into 2, and the total number increases. But a big deal isn't usually made of polydactylity in the world of large. That's because it isn't a disease, just something people are born with. So while they are still babies, at about the time they turn 1 year old, they can be taken to the hospital and given surgery to make them normal. Even a child with polydactyly can be treated before they become aware, so they might not even remember it themselves. By the way, it seems there's a possibility for this to occur in one out of 2,000 babies. So even though it's not usually seen, it isn't that rare at all. Speaking of which, I think Uncle Hideyoshi mentioned something to me long ago. Something about how even Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the man who unified Japan, at the end of Sengoku period had 6 fingers on one hand. Huh. According to Onnatsuhi, among the many Ushiromiya family heads, the ones who praised for their wisdom all had polydactylity. Because of that, when grandfather was born, his relatives were all excited at the thought that he might become another wise leader. And when the leading relatives all died in the Great Kanto earthquake, it was apparently argued that grandfather should be the one to restore the family because of the auspicious sign of his birth. I see. If grandfather hadn't disliked his position as the head so much, the Sixto probably would have been pretty lucky for him. Come to think of it, I've heard about some country where it's believed some people with polydactylity should be treated as gods and revered. This is beside the point, but it's fairly common in mystery novels for a corpse to be burned to hide its identity. But I guess that in grandfather's case, just toasting him wouldn't be enough. I mean, I think you can kind of trick people. I mean, we still have some Ushiromiyas, right? We have Kraus and Rudolph, who died, and even Rosa, right? Maybe one of them has polydactylity as well. Or they chopped one toe in half to make it look like it was. Oops. It was, and grandfather's body was not simply burnt. It was just like on Eva's and Uncle Hideyoshi's. And the thing that had been stabbed into Kanon-kun's chest, one of those demon ice picks was stuck into his forehead. Ah, see?
昨夜の手紙の通りということですか。お父様。さぞやご無念でしょう。
I mean, he did want to be sacrificed by Beatrice, right? This room had also become a vital crime scene for us to hand over to the police. It was decided that we would leave grandfather's corpse here and lock the room, sealing it. It isn't clear that grandfather's corpse started burning in the incinerator. Since according to Genji, the strength of the flames hadn't been that strong, the body must have started burning a long time ago. The stench could slowly creep out from the furnace and fill the room bit by bit, eventually pouring out and climbing out to the staircase. Putting aside whether he was rare or well done, grandfather had been brought out, killed, and burned, even though he had started out locked away in the closed room created by his autolock. There's probably no doubting this. However, according to Genji-san, the boiler room is usually locked. The possibility that someone outside our group had snuck in and committed the crime was overwhelmingly high. And there was also a good chance that this person was walking around with something like a master key. After all, the doors and windows throughout the mansion had been checked. But despite that, the culprit was able to search around the mansion freely. Yeah, a master key sounds possible. Does this crime confirm that a 19th person exists? There's still that contradiction, since they're trying to tout their existence without ever showing themselves once. Along with Kirie-san's chessboard theory, I've been using this contradiction to deny the existence of a 19th person. By spinning the chessboard around once again, the very fact that this crime makes it perfectly obvious that a 19th person exists means that the existence of the 19th person is even less plausible. As long as that 19th person doesn't show themselves in front of us, if the culprit could get grandfather out through the door sealed by the receipt, if they could kill Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi from the other side of a door sealed by a chain, then they could possibly go so far as to create a fictional 19th person through strange tricks and devices? If we still want to believe that the culprit is among the 18, then the list of suspects has grown very short. The 4 of us kids, Aunt Natsuhi, Genji-san, Kumasawa Bachan, and Dr. Nanjo. One of these people has to be the culprit. Wait, we can't be sure of that. Just a second ago we started doubting whether the corpse here was actually grandfather's, right? Maybe we can think of all the other bodies in the same way. For example, the first all had their faces horribly smashed in. Some of the bodies had been kept through enough of their faces for us to confirm who they were, but that old bastard, for example, had lost his entire face, as though the whole thing had been neatly peeled off. We only figured out which body was which by their clothes and surroundings. Did the culprit prepare a fake body beforehand and alter it to make it look like they died, even though they were actually hiding somewhere after committing the crime? Alright, this is a possibility as well. It may sound ridiculous, but it wouldn't be an impossible trick to pull off. Alright, so we have Oroza, Goda, Rudolph and Kiria, who had all their faces bashed in a way. Then we have Kraus and Shannon, who had half of it left. It's too early to give in to this 19th person. No, this witch. But what surprises me is Shannon was kinda hidden away by everyone else, wasn't she? I wonder if this is relevant. Maria-chan wasn't there so fixedly anymore. Maria didn't go out with everyone else, but remained in the boiler room. The thing she was staring so fixedly at probably wasn't grandfather's body, but the demon ice pick sticking out of his forehead. It was probably the sort of item that an enthusiast couldn't bear to ignore. I tapped her on the head. Again with your fist? Yes.
ベアトリーチェはもうすぐ蘇るんだよ。その時、誰も生き残れはしない。
Oh boy, by tonight everyone is gonna die, right? I wonder if I'll finish the chapter tonight.
よくも笑えるもんだぜ。自分だけ蚊帳の外だと思ってるのか？どうして自分の身に危機が迫っていると感じない？どうして怯えない？
ベアトリーチェは約束してくれたもん。マリアは黄金鏡へ連れて行ってもらえるんだよ。
Ah, geez, that's a way to cope with it.
そこはね、しがらみも何もない、すべての人たちがずっと一緒に、いつまでも優しくし合っていける素敵な場所なんだよ。
That is a way to cope with this.
マリアは楽しみだよ。その時はもうすぐだもん。
Oh, Maria? Just what kind of person is Maria? I only know what Maria was like 6 years ago when she was 3. She was once pure and obedient, a good kid. This new Maria 6 years later and the Maria I knew didn't seem to fit together. Just who is she? This witch who calls herself Maria? To Maria, who obstinately believes in the witch, the series of unsolved crimes is proof that the witch actually exists. Every time something occurs that would be difficult for a human, it becomes a little harder for the rest of us not to believe in Beatrice. It must be an interesting pleasure for Maria to see her relatives who once firmly denied the witch's existence start acknowledging that witch's existence one by one. And that's why she's in high spirits?
マリア、もう一遍だけ聞く。どうせ答えは同じだろうが、もう一遍だけ聞く。お前は昨日、バラ庭園で手紙をもらった。そいつは誰なんだ？
She's gonna say Beatrice.
おお、だからベアトリーチェ。バトラがまだ信じない。おお。
Maria only repeated what she had already said. Maria met with the 19th person, the witch. Was that really a 19th person, or did one of the 18 just get to her to say that? All that's certain is that Maria had been with the rest of us constantly, has always had an alibi, and hadn't done anything suspicious. She's simply overjoyed at being made Beatrice's messenger, and certainly isn't the 19th person. Supposedly. Oh, are you starting to suspect her? That's right. I wonder what's written in the letter we picked up in Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi's room. Oh, Natsuko should still have it with her. Ah, jeez. Alright, next time skip. Oh, the clock is large now. Is this a glitch or is this intentional? It is 7 p.m. now. Sorry, 8. In the end, Kanun-kun did not regain consciousness. I mean, we wish. Even though Dr. Nanjo had arrested all they could to heal him, Of course, there was very little that could be done on an island like this without medicine or proper facilities. By the way, I think these little I hear these water drop sounds. I wonder if it's if that means that they updated the thing. Okay. Let's see. Kinzo. Burned in the incinerator with a weapon resembling an ice pick sticking out of his forehead. The old sorcerer's wish vanished before it could be granted. He always knew that this was one possible result of his risky gamble. Hideyoshi? Alright. Found in the bathroom of the same guest room that Eva was found in. Like Eva, there was a weapon resembling an ice pick sticking out of his forehead. You can see either of them by looking through the gap of the door while the chain is set. You can't see them, so you can't reach them. Hey, how could a human possibly kill them? And now Eva? Found on the bed of a guest's room out inside the mansion with a weapon resembling an ice pick sticking out of her forehead. Let me see the victims of the first murder again. So Kiria and Rudolph are completely smashed in. Kraus is only half. Rosa is most of her face. Shannon is half, but way over than half. And Goda is only the top. Is it? Okay, either the person faked the bloody thing, like their faces, completely like covered it in, either made a fake body or covered it in a fake goo or something. In that case, we have 3 people like this. Maybe Goda, if we want to count him. And then we have only two candidates with half their face smashed in. But like I said, Shannon is a lot. Kraus, however, is less. I wonder if all of this will come into play later. Yeah, right, Canon. A nice pick sticking out of his chest. How presumptuous of a lowly furniture like that. Come on, don't be mean to him. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people still alive. Okay. Of course, there was very little that could be done on an island like this without medicine or proper facilities. However, Canon was the only human ever to confront the culprit. If only he could give us some kind of clue. However, at the time they carried Canon away, it was already too late. Ah, jeez. Dr. Anderson had been sprayed with a violent spurt of blood, so it was easy to imagine the devotion with which he had tried to save Canon's life up until the last second. Jessica was crouched in the corridor crying softly. Oh no! She had probably been taking care of Canon-kun until the moment of his death. George Aniki tried to approach her with words of comfort, but when Jessica pushed him away, he stopped trying to force her to talk and left her alone. Oh no. I mean, you were scared. Probably. Oh man.
カノン君は犯人の姿を見つけて勇敢に立ち向かったんだ。熊沢さんも一緒だったら犯人は躊躇して逃げることを選んだかもしれない。
I don't know, with an old lady? If it was Genji, I would believe it. Emotion-filled words that I never thought I'd heard coming from Jessica's mouth tumbled out. Kumasawa, looking truly sorry, could do nothing but hang her head.
Jessica.
She is angry.
そしてバトラ君もだろう。もう何が何だかわからなくて心が張り裂けそうだよ。
Yeah, shit's rough. There were tears in George Aniki's eyes again. Seeing Jessica break down crying probably brought back the pain of losing his parents. I'd done my crying all at once, so I didn't feel like crying anymore. Whoever understood how great the pain in her heart was.
大丈夫だよ、ジェシカ。
Oh man.
カノンにだってまたすぐ会えるよ。
よしてくれよ。そういう慰めはいらねえぜ。
Oh man.
ベアトリーチェは死者も失った愛すらも蘇らせる。
Oh man, Mario, Jessica's gonna have your ass.
だからきっとすぐに会えるよ。そしてきっとみんなで穏やかに過ごせるから。
カノン君を殺したのがマリアに昨日手紙を渡したっていうベアトリーチェなのか。そいつはどこにいるんだよ。どこに隠れてるんだよ。私が見つけて引き裂いてやる。言えよ。知ってるんだろ犯人の正体を。
Oh man. Oh, is she hitting her?
何を知っていて何を隠してるんだ。話しやがれ。
Oh my god.
お嬢様、おやめください。
Please do stop.
ベアトリーチェはいる。
Ah, jeez.
ケンジさん話せよ。マリアが犯人を知ってる。しかもそいつは知ってて隠してるんだ。そして俺たちの内情を伝えて殺しの手引きをしてるに違いないんだぜ。
Oh, come on.
ジェシカ、静かにしなさい。
Jessica grabbed at Maria. Genji tried to stop her, but Jessica could not be calmed. The next thing I heard was the sound of Nazi slapping Jessica's face. Oh man. After that, only Jessica's sorrowful sobbing voice resounded throughout the hall.
マリアちゃん、僕は君が断じて犯人ではないことを知っている。君はいつも僕たちと一緒にいたし、犯人なんかと通じている時間はなかった。
Right.
だから聞かせてほしい。君に昨日手紙を渡したベアトリーチェとは誰なんだい？
Although those words seemed kind, they clearly showed that George still had some remaining doubts about Maria. He didn't actually grab at her. However, he felt exactly the same way Jessica did.
兄貴、同じことは俺もさっき聞いたぜ。返事は同じさ。
マリアちゃんの口から聞きたい。ベアトリーチェとは誰なんだい？
言ってもどうせ信じない。
Yeah, it's true.
それはどういう意味だい？ひょっとして僕らのよく知る人物が犯人で、君は何かの事情からそれをかばうために黙っているというのかい？
Oh
君
man.
はあの手紙を誰にもらったんだい？
ベアトリーチェにもらったんだよ。何度だって言う。手紙はベアトリーチェにもらった。
Oh man.
ジョージお兄ちゃんがベアトリーチェを信じないのは殴れる相手じゃないから。
Maria, come on. Don't shit on them.
ジョージお兄ちゃんはやるせない気持ちを暴力に変えて、だから殴れる相手が人間じゃなきゃ収まりがつかない。だからそんなジョージお兄ちゃんには真実を話しても受け、だから言っても無駄。信じない。でもマリアは何度も言うよ。真実だから言うよ。ベアトリーチェはね、いるの。
Oh man.
黄金鏡の扉はもうすぐ開かれるよ。マリアはそこに行くの。ベアトリーチェが約束してくれたの。その世界ではママも優しくてパパも一緒で優しいの。
Oh god, that hurts.
マリアは早くそこへ行きたいの。みんなはベアトリーチェのことを恐れている。そしてそれは無理もないことだけど。なら安心して。ベアトリーチェは言ってたよ。台風が去るまでに全てを終わらせるからって。
Oh my god. So by tonight. Who hit her now? Battler again? Yeah.
饒舌なマリアも嫌いじゃねえが、とりあえずはそのくらいにしとけ。魔女はいるいる言ってたお前にとってさぞや現状は愉快だろうが、とりあえずそいつはお前だけで噛み締めとけ。他人にまで押し付けるんじゃねえ。
Oh well.
こいつ前から気持ち悪いやつだと。
Oh my god, is she gonna absolutely call Maria a monster?
おかしいぜ。どっかおかしいぜ。バトラは思わねえのかよ。ケンジさんは
I mean, if she gets abused by Rosa so often, I wouldn't be surprised she turned out this way.
熊沢さんは母さんはどうだよ。マリアは犯人の正体を知ってて隠してる。確かに直接手を下してるわけじゃないかもしれない。でも間違いなく犯人の一味だぜ。そうさ、スパイさ。
Oh my god, please.
私たちと一緒になんかいさせられないぜ。
マリアちゃん、不謹慎な話を慎むべき時もあることを知りなさい。これ以上混乱に油を注ぐような真似が過ぎれば。
Oh. On Nazi glared at Mari with frightening eyes. Mari was used to Aunt Rosa's raw style of scolding, but she apparently hadn't built up resistance to Aunt Nazi's quiet sort of scolding. She shrugged and kept her mouth shut. A desolate feeling filled the room. It felt as though things would just get more complicated if anyone spoke. How many people have already died? 6 people in that group. After that, both Aunt Eva, Uncle Hideyoshi, Kanon-kun, and grandfather. There were a whole 18 people on this island, supposedly, and 10 of those people have been killed. It's more than half of us, and right now, there's absolutely no proof that the remaining 8 people will be safe.
とにかく今は仲違いをしている時ではありません。犯人が神出鬼没に屋敷内を出入りしていることが間違いなくなった今、私たちは明日まで身を守ることだけに専念しなくてはなりません。
So no sleeping.
夏日おばさんに極めて同感だぜ。犯人探しは今夜ゆっくりできるさ。今はどこで籠城するかを考えた方がいい。
As I said this, I pointed to the clock to everyone. It was already 8 at night. We had been receiving shocks over and over since the early morning, and our bodies and minds were completely tired out. There's still a long time until tomorrow at 9 AM, right? We need to find some place to barricade ourselves in so we could rest our bodies and get even the smallest amount of relief.
私も同感ですが、私も含め、もうみんな体も心も限界まで打ちのめされています。今からそれを考えた方が賢明でしょうな。
そういうこった。敵はマスターキーに準ずるものを持っている公算が高い。
シャノンやカノン君、ゴーダさんはマスターキーを持ってましたか？
Oh, yeah.
勤務時間中だったんなら身につけていたはずです。
現場をいじらない方がいいってんで。
I get the feeling I'm close to the end, but I'm not sure if I should like press on or if I should save it for a finale or something.
そもそも犯人はバラ庭園倉庫のシャッターを開けるために一度そこでマスターキーをすでに入手していると考えて間違いないでしょう。
Oh, I wish I could like check. Oh, but I don't want to spoil myself. I don't have anyone here in the chat who can tell me too, so... there were many servants serving the Ushiromiya family. Because of that, there were several master keys. Furthermore, every time one employee started or finished working, the keys were passed between the servants. And we had to acknowledge that this had probably gotten a bit sloppy at times in the past.
仮に殺された使用人の誰かのポケットから鍵束を拝借したとして、その鍵でも開けられない安全な場所はあるのか？
私たちはお仕事の都合上、すべてのお部屋の鍵を預かっております。
Huh.
お屋敷もゲストハウスもすべてです。
つまり私たちはどこへ立てこもって鍵をかけようと意味がないってわけだ。上等だぜ。鍵なんかいるもんか。来るなら来やがれってんだ。
Oh man.
返り討ちにしてやるぜ。
敵は正面から来ないよ。最初の6人はともかく母さんたちやカノン君、そしておじい様の霊を見る限り敵は孤立した人間だけを狙ってる。一部屋に固まっている僕たちのところへ堂々と乗り込んで来られるほどの力はないんだよ。
そうだな。兄貴の言う通りだ。ひょっとすると おばさんのライフル銃が抑止効果として成立してるのかもしれないぜ。
なら良いのですが。
マリア、言いたいことがあるんだろうが、そいつは飲み込んで。
She wants to talk about Beatrice and nobody will let her. Oh well. It would be like that. Oh, disappointed. Ooh. Oops. Oh, crap. Sorry. Mashed a bit too fast there. Go back, please. Maria probably wanted to say something about how witches weren't afraid of things like guns. But if she were to say it out loud, the atmosphere around here would start to get pretty edgy. I had noticed and decided to put a stop to it. Donk.
よろしいでしょうか。一箇所だけ。使用人の鍵束でも入れない場所が。
それはどこです？
はい。親方様の書斎です。
私は反対だぜ。じいさまの気持ち悪い部屋になんか入りたくない。
Oh man, would we have to?
あの部屋に入れる鍵は何本あるんですか
？2本です。1本は常に私が。もう1本は親方様がお持ちでしたが、先ほどボイラー室の遺体からこれを。
Genji-san took a handkerchief out of his pocket and opened it, showing us the burnt and filthy study key. Then he showed it alongside his own key, which he had once lent to Natsu.
本来なら警察のために鍵も残すべきだったのですが、親方様より書斎の留守は必ず守るようにと仰せつけられておりました。なるほど。ということは、金蔵さんの書斎は唯一の安全地帯というわけですな。
そういうことになりますね。あの怪しげな匂いの部屋に一晩も立てこもるなど考えたくもありませんが、あの部屋が一番安全であることを今は認めなければならないようです。
その安全な部屋に閉じこもってたじいさまを犯人は連れ出して殺してる。絶対安全とは言い切れねえけどな。
バトラ君の説のおじい様がうまくレシートをやり過ごして自分の意思で部屋を出たと考えるなら、籠城の価値はあるかもしれない。
へえ、楽観的すぎだぜ、兄貴。
However, at the same time, I thought he brought up a pretty interesting wait, did I skip a text on accident? Yeah, no, I didn't. Okay. Interesting question at this point. After all, this gives us a chance to question the enemy, the witch herself, about how the sealed door had been opened. If we assume the culprit used some technique to kidnap grandfather from his study, they'd have to show us the same trick again if they wanted to assault us in the study. And that give us a chance to make the culprit prove how they did right before our eyes. If she's really a witch, we'll be forcing her to use her little magic trick to open the door right in front of us. But that's probably impossible. If you spin the chessboard around, like, it's obvious that the culprit is acting in a way that'll make us think they're a witch. If she really is a witch, all she's gotta do is appear in front of us and wow us with a colorful display of magic. And since she's avoided doing that, everything must be the work of a fake witch who wants us to think she's real. Therefore, a culprit who used a technique other than magic to defeat the closed room couldn't open the door before our eyes.
じいさんの部屋ってのは8人で押しかけても大丈夫なくらいの広さなんすか？
はい。ベッドにソファー、毛布類もありますので、贅沢を言わなければ十分に夜を越すことができます。流しにご不浄、 冷蔵庫に酒棚もあります。
ひゅー、そいつはすげえぜ。
It's like a whole ass house.
おかしなもんだな。自分の家の中にさらに自分の家を作ったってのか。
Basically, yeah.
島を丸ごと買って自分の夢をすべて実現しきったじい様の最後の家にしちゃずいぶん手狭なんだな。
Maybe just like small rooms.
そうですね。いつの頃からかお父様にとっては屋敷内ですら心を許せる場所ではなくなって、
そこに引きこもっていたのを私たちは嘲笑い、そして今度は私たちがそこに立てこもろうってわけだ。
Jessica spat the words out.
ジェシカちゃんは立てこもるより犯人を探しに行きたいという感じだね。
もちろんこっちから探しに行って見つけられるなんて思っちゃいないぜ。結局は待つしかない。ならどこで待ったって同じだろ。逃げも隠れもしない。客までテレビでも見ながらのんびり現れるのを待とうじゃねえかよ、ベアトリーチェ様をよ。
Damn. She's ready to throw hands.
現れないで十分です。犯人を暴くのは私たちである必要がないからです。
正論ですな。警察が来るまで危険を冒すべきではありません。
ありがとう南條先生。私はお父様の書斎に移るべきだと思います。
Let's go.
お父様が連れ出された可能性があり、絶対の安全が保証されているわけではない。しかしバトラ君の推理のお父様が何らかの方法で自ら書斎を出て外で襲われた可能性も否定できません。
A while back I proposed that strange theory as a stopgap measure. But just as Aunt Eva said, even though that trick would be possible, I couldn't explain what motive could have made grandfather sneak out of his own study in such a troublesome way. Yeah, that's true. Plus grandfather couldn't even have used the trick unless he knew that the receipt was wedged in the door. Aunt Eva hadn't pointed out that last part, but it's clear how absurd the theory was. So does that mean the sealed door formed the closed room, just as Aunt Eva claimed? Is it an undeniable fact that Aunt Nazi was the culprit? If Aunt Eva were here now, she'd probably make that claim openly and blow my strange theory away. But anyway, I had to admit that a room with both a bed and a toilet that all 8 people could be shut in, and with only 2 keys, both of which were gathered here, it had to be the safest place in the mansion right now. And at the very least, I figured this would be better than just staying shut up in a parlor and hoping nothing would go wrong. But wait, we have been safe only because we've been shut up in the parlor? What if leaving that room and moving to an unexpected location is actually more dangerous? Ah, it's useless, it's all useless. My flimsy head is about to break out in a fever. So I'll keep spinning the chessboard around, right and wrong will keep switching places over and over, and I won't be able to believe anything. When it seems like the culprit is one of the 18, I want to believe in Beatrice. And once I start believing in Beatrice, I start wanting to find the culprit amid the 18. If that keeps spinning around forever, in the end, my thoughts won't have taken one step from where they started. How far back in the past was it that Kiya-san taught me about the chessboard thinking? The concept of examining the situation by spinning it around and thinking from the enemy's side. I seem to remember being so interested by it back then, I used to guide all my thinking. By the way, Kiria-san was Dad's co-worker back then. I never dreamed that she'd someday be added to our family. Didn't Kiria-san tell me something once? I get the feeling she once said that while the chessboard thinking was one way to look at things, it certainly wasn't all-powerful, and it wouldn't be good to rely on it too much.
チェス盤思考ってのはね、昔本で読んだゲーム理論というものを私なりに解釈したものよ。
A game theory?
とても面白い学問だから、バトラ君も大学に入ったら挑戦してみるといいわよ。
ぜひやってみたいっす。それを勉強してチェス盤思考をもっと鍛えたら、どんな相手の手の内も読めるみたいで楽しいじゃないっすか。
でもね、盲信しちゃダメよ。ゲーム理論は非常に奥深く複雑な学問なの。チェス盤思考はその上辺だけを私なりに解釈した考え方に過ぎない。
I
バトラ
see.
君が想像するほどに相手の手の内を読み切るには相当の勉強が必要よ。しかもチェス盤理論は応用の効く便利なものではあっても完璧ではない。
Ah, jeez.
便利ではあっても弱点が多い。
弱点？
ええ、チェス盤思考の基礎はゲーム理論。ゲーム理論は突き詰めると数学に行き着くの。
So to math,
数学の
okay.
弱点は何か知ってる？ノイズよ。
Noise. In math, when you write 1 plus 1 equals 2, that process will always result in 1 plus 1 equals 2, no matter how many billions of years pass, nothing more, nothing less. That's because there's absolutely no noise mixed in. But for example, unlike math, the Japanese language has noise mixed in. Kanji are a good example. Old kanji and new kanji are slightly different, which represents an introduction of noise created by the changes between time periods. Isn't history the same? There are dozens of policies that seem foolish in the modern era, but were meaningful at some point in the past. Because the rules of chess were fixed when a pair of experts are discussing one particular layout, it's possible they could reach the same conclusion whether they are from 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future. However, if the rules of chess had gone through massive changes over time, it's possible that a discussion about the same layout would have changed as well.
その通り。人の世の事象は本来ノイズだらけなのよ。人の感情だってそうでしょ？全く同じことが起こったからといって、人は必ず決められた反応を示すとは限らない。それを数学の理論で当てはめ、相手の行動を読もうとする時点で、すでに理論には弱点と限界があることを知らなければならない。手っ取り早く言うと、チェス盤思考はノイズや気まぐれ、そして誤解、認識ミスに非常に弱いの。
Yeah, so it has to be, everything has to be correct in chessboard thinking, like from the get-go. That's right. Kirie-san definitely said that. Chess has always been a game where both sides play by the same rules and fight with the same conditions for victory. That's why it's possible for both sides to predict the other's moves. It's possible to read your opponent because you can always suppose they'll make the best moves they can fit. But what if your opponent is fickle or a little bit tired and makes a move that can hardly be called the best? Or what if this game actually has a special rule, some unknown thing that only the enemy knows and can use? In fact, what if the opponent actually has some goal other than victory? Think from your enemy's perspective. That's the basis for chessboard thinking. Which means if you misread your enemy, the answer you draw from this process will be complete rubbish, useless. So far I've used chessboard theory to guess several vague bits of information about the culprit hiding behind this case, or so I think. However, I don't know anything about the culprit. Am I just playing around in a labyrinth of thought? If Kirie-san were here at a time like this, she'd probably be able to notice something with her much sharper thinking ability. Until the very last moment, Jessica resisted moving into grandfather's study, but in the end, Aonatsu persisted and we decided to move there. Everyone was completely wrapped in paranoia by now. Kumasawa-san had prepared dinner at some point, but during the time we were discovering the death of Joe Aniki's parents, both the kitchen and the parlor had been left empty. Someone suggested that the food might have been poisoned while we were gone. Because of that, we were unable to even touch the food that Kumasawa-san had taken the trouble to make for us. The manner in which the first 6 were killed was still unknown, but it certainly could have been poison. Certainly that would have allowed even a single person to carry out murder of 6 large adults. Furthermore, if this idea made it easy to imagine there being only a single culprit, one would be afraid of Aonatsu's rifle, and this was very good for our emotional stability. But the fatigue and hunger were even harsher than we'd imagined. Then Kumasawa-san made a proposal, and we all went together to the kitchen. There, we gathered some canned foods and other things that'd be hard to poison to take in with us. All of Kumasawa-san's efforts to reward us with just a little dinner on this savage day regrettably came to nothing. The food piled up on serving cards looked just a little bit sad. Nya, wasted food! We all started climbing the stairs. Aonatsu, who was in the lead, warily stared into the darkness with both eyes and the barrel of the gun. Once we dragged ourselves to the 3rd floor, just as Aonatsu had warned us before, us of beforehand, there was a mixture of a chemical smell and a sickly sweet aroma, a stench hanging in the air that felt like it was eating in our heads.
なるほど。こりゃ一晩もこもったら頭痛にでもなりそうな匂いだな。今更ながらじい様の書斎に反対したジェシカに賛成だぜ。
Just go. Stop being a baby. It felt like the stench was swelling out from this magnificent door. It was the door to the forbidden study, which should defend against any who would enter. While Genji-san unlocked the door, Maria stared at the door and the doorknob with great interest. Oh, it has scorpions.
すごいドア。
古くいかめしくて冗談の通じなさそうな、いかにもじい様の書斎にふさわしい扉だよな。
霊的な悪意を退ける力がとても強く込められている。多分ベアトリーチェはこの扉を開けられないね。
お？それどういうことだよ。
The scorpions, right? Maria pointed at the doorknob. A scorpion crest. No, a design like a magic circle arranged around the scorpion was inscribed there. That design, that's right. Isn't it just like those keychain charms Maria gave Jessica and me yesterday?
火星の5の魔法陣は強力な魔除け。しかもこの魔法陣は相当丹念に作られていて、力がよく満ちている。魔のものであるベアトリーチェにとって、この魔法陣はとても厄介だろうね。
それは心強いじゃねえか。この部屋ならベアトリーチェの魔種から逃げられるってことだろ。うちの魔女様は実に頼もしいぜ。
ならベアトリーチェはどうやって中のおじい様を？
バトラが推理した通りだよ。ベアトリーチェは中に入れない。でも彼女には魔法があるし、使い魔だっている。それらを使っておじい様が自分から書斎を出てくるように仕向けることはできるかも。
ああ、漫画で読んだな。吸血鬼は十字架が怖くて近づけねえけど、使い魔たちはへっちゃらなんで使い魔に襲わせるみたいなシーンを読んだことがあるぜ。
バトラたちに昨日あげたサソリのキーホルダーのようなお守りもこの火星の5の魔法陣だよ。込められている力は微々たるものだけど、この島を出るまでの間を守ってくれるだけなら十分だった。なくしちゃったそうだけどね。
サソリのキーホルダーのお守り。
ああ、昨日私が母さんに渡したお守りはマリアにもらったものだったんだよ。ドアノブにかけると魔除けになるとか言われて、私より母さんの方がいいかなってその時は思って。
そうでしたか。ジェシカにしては変わったものを持っていると思っていました。
夏日おばさんがあれをドアノブに？
ええ、夕べそう聞き、寝る前に扉の内側のドアノブにかけました。
I see.
なら夏日おばさんはとても幸運だよ。そうだったなら夕べベアトリーチェは夏日おばさんに指一本触れられなかっただろうね。ベアトリーチェはさぞや悔しがったと思うよ。
Dang, Maria. Beatrice, annoyed? Couldn't lay one finger? Natsu thought back on the eerie scribbles she'd seen that morning, as though someone had been tearing at the outside of the door with blood-soaked hands, and gasped in surprise. Could it be that this witch who called herself Beatrice tried to enter through the door to Natsu's own room? But the magic-repelling charm had been hanging from the inside, so she couldn't break through the door. So she was annoyed. So she scratched at it?
よせよ、そういう話。魔女なんかいないぜ。いるのは犯人。それも私たちと同じ人間だ。それを確かめる必要があるってなら、八つ先にして血が赤いかも確認してやろうじゃねえか。
Jessica looks like she's about to throw fists with Maria. Click. Genji unlocked the door. 8 people entered Kinzo's study. Okay. This looks like a place to stop. Okay, let's save right now. I feel like I'm reaching close to the finale, but I don't want to like I don't want to rush it through because I do have to go to bed eventually, and I don't want to rush as fast as possible. I want to be able to react properly to the finale, and I maybe even if it's not much left, if I do finish sooner than intended next time, then well, then I have like enough time to do something else, like maybe talk a little about what I thought about it, or maybe I can switch over to art or whatever. But in any case, this looks like a good spot to stop. I feel like I might be able to finish this chapter next week. And yeah, I think it's enough for now. We went through a significant jump. A lot of things happened, and I believe next week we'll have the big finale of this arc or a chapter, and maybe we'll finally get to see Beatrice, or maybe not. Let's see. Thank you for everybody who came for the stream tonight. I hope you had fun, even though there was a lot of death and a lot of yelling and shotguns being pointed. I think next week I'll pick up where we stopped, and hopefully I'll finish it. I will also say in advance, next week's stream will be the last one I'll make before I go on a 2-week vacation, and I probably will not stream during that time. I mean, I don't guarantee it 100%, but it's highly likely I will take the 2 weeks of time to be mostly offline and relax. So I'll be picking up streams again at, hold on, let me check the dates. Next Thursday, the 30th and the 7th. I'll probably stream again. So next week on the 23rd of September, then I have 2 weeks of vacation, and I'll pick up streaming again on the 14th of October. So once again, thank you everybody who came. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I'll be seeing you next week for hopefully the last stream for this chapter. Bye!